officer was read out by prosecutor Kagiso Ralitata.
2 hours after the accused was arrested, the victim's mother received a call with Ugandan numbers from a person who introduced herself to be the mother of the accused, who requested that the matter be settled out of court and that should the victim's mother withdraw the case, there will be reward. And also, the victim in this matter has provided that the accused told her that should she mentioned any of the rape encounters, she will change the story altogether.
The matter has been postponed to the 28th of May. Zoleka Kodashe, Eyewitness News.
2 Eastern Cape women arrested for kidnapping newborn babies from a hospital will appear in the New Brights Magistrate Court today. They were handcuffed this week after snatching the 2 boys from the maternity ward at Dora Nginza Hospital. Health MEC Ntandukazi Capa says the affected mothers are receiving psychosocial support.
So as a department, we are really sorry that incident happened and we wanted to come and meet with the families. Indeed, we have engaged with the families and we have had a long discussion. There's quite a number of issues that they have raised, and one of those is the customer care in the hospital.
The high-profile billion-rand housing tender fraud case involving former Cape Town Human Settlements MMC Malusi Boy returns to court today. Boy, a former
analyze more than 100 bank statements and to download documents from several devices. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
People evicted from hijacked buildings in the city of Tshwane can apply for a program to access alternative accommodation. Many people were removed from buildings belonging to the city in Pretoria West yesterday during an operation. Mayor Nasipi Moya and other officials visited the buildings to finalize plans of cleaning up the empty structures and begin demolition. Road and Transport MMC Tlhahi Mukhale says the city or the program is also open to other homeless people in Tshwane.
We also have homes and NGOs that are in partnerships that we've signed MOUs with the city of Tshwane, where they actually have to house these homeless people, and they do get a subsidy of some sort to help with the indigent people.
And several people have died when a small plane crashed in California neighborhood, destroying a home and setting more than a dozen cars on fire. At least 10 houses were hit by debris, and vehicles on both sides of a street went up in flames when the plane slammed into the ground in San Diego yesterday. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration says the plane had 6 people on board. One of the dead was identified as Dave Shapiro, a music agent who found San Diego-based sound talent group. Gold is trading at $3,324.80 an ounce. The rand is at 17.91 to the dollar, 24.10 to the pound, 20.28 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.03 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Sunny Hill, we've got delays on the N1 North approaching the Baklu interchange, while traveling on the N3 North, delays between the Geldenhuys turn-off and Kiluli's interchange. And then if you're traveling towards Diepsloot, that accident we spoke about earlier has been cleared. Traffic is now free-flowing on the N14 East towards the R114.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 19 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. It's emerged that the mother of a man accused of raping an 11-year-old girl allegedly reached out to the victim's family, offering a reward for the case to be withdrawn.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Walk for something greater in the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. Get your tickets now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7.
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Six minutes after 9 o'clock, you're on 702. Thanks very much for joining us. It's Thabo instead of Clement, who would be traveling, as you would have gathered already, after a stellar performance in the US. Team 702 did us all proud. I'm sure you would join me in congratulating them on work well executed. I was obviously here in studio just to make sure that everything goes well in case the line cuts up that side. That's how we work here. But I listened to every bit of those shows that Clement did, Tsiri's reportage. I think it was so excellent. I have to agree. That was some best radio I have heard in a very long time. Clement did a fantastic job, especially on the first day when he started reporting from there. I think he broke down all necessary issues. He kept us abreast. And subjectively, you may argue that I am pouring all these confetti of congratulatory remarks upon him because he's a colleague and I would obviously be subjective to the station. No. I assure you, genuinely, I was depending on the station to know what was happening because I thought we were head and shoulders above the rest. And that is not to demean anyone, by the way, but as far as content is concerned. And I have to congratulate people also in the background who made sure that everything else goes according to plan. We often forget to do so. And so because without them, we really cannot do what we do. Abel was running like a frantic chicken that doesn't have a head, pressing buttons, making sure that the connections are well and making sure that you get the very best quality. So I have to congratulate the team. Forgive me for their indulgence, but I thought let me just congratulate. I'm sure you agree. They did well. And the questions as well that they posed and at the Oval Office, both Tsiri screaming at the back, even though we didn't see her on TV, and Clement's questions and his screams. And it's really, truly not about 702. Only. It's really about South African journalism. I would want to argue that we were definitely with the best in the world, and we showed up. We represented the country appropriately, and as everyone else was interviewed on CNN and major other channels, I thought that our journalists represented us appropriately. We shouldn't only complain and send nasty remarks when there's a problem, but it's also good to note the good work that comes with this. So having said that, I've congratulated the team. Welcome. We have our own work ahead of us up until 12. I'm Thabo Shole Mashao, and I would like to know who you are, especially on this Friday and where you're listening from. But most importantly, I want you to know that the show will continue just as it ought to. Between 9 and 10, we have an open line. And on the open line, I urge you to raise any issue. My obsession is that media doesn't cover enough of what's happening in our country. We depend on you to say, by the way, in Kelvin, there is this problem of fires every other Friday and no one is saying anything about it. Or by the way, we have this problem of traffic lights, of street lights in Krugersdorp and no one is saying anything about it. Raise it. This is your opportunity to raise it where everyone else is listening. So the open line should be driven by you. But let me kick off some few thoughts of mine on the open line, and I'll invite you to call in and share yours or comment on what we have raised. Africa Day is just around the corner, right? 25 May, and we know the importance of that. I wanted to find out, very simple. I mean, we could have made it complicated, but what makes you African? What makes you African? And this is not just in a vacuum. The question of Afrikaner and African always come to being whenever we are introspecting as a nation, as South Africa. And I want us to, with a tinge of sobriety at least, dissect our definition of what it means to be African. Some people have argued that we should not have borders because of how temporary they are and how artificial they are and how they do not represent who we are and how the colonizers divided Africa amongst themselves and drew these borders. I mean, when you're looking at us and Botswana and Swaziland and Lesotho, we are literally one people, literally one people. There's no difference whatsoever among us. Nothing. We could literally be one country. With Botswana, with Swaziland, with Lesotho, and I suppose others around, we could literally be one country. But what makes you African? And to stretch it a bit, are you proud to be African? And I'm not just talking about the sentiments, I'm not just talking about the past. I'm talking about Africa being the face of poverty, corruption, crime, wars, and all that is negative. And you will argue that it's the media that has painted Africa like that. Accurate or inaccurate as the picture may be, is that truly what makes us who we are? My heart sinks whenever I see children not having anything to eat on the continent, whenever I see wars amongst ourselves. Of course, there's a third hand. We'll argue about that later, and I'm not oblivious to how foreign countries have a hand in bringing mercenaries in here and pushing for us to fight against it. But I see brother going against brother. The Hutus, the Tutsis. We've seen that in Rwanda. We've seen it. We've seen that here in South Africa. Remember, in the mid-90s, in the early 90s, I should say, just after Nelson Mandela was released from prison. You'd remember that. The townships, you literally couldn't walk in a street where there was a hostel if you're a township dweller. A lot of people abandoned there. And it was brother against brother. But also, we fight so much amongst each other as Africans. I was speaking to Sinazo, one of the producers of the show, earlier on, that there was a very interesting label given to English white-speaking South Africans at the time, and they were called Sotis, and that would be a term that meant that they had one foot in Europe and the other in Africa, that they didn't really represent what Africa stood for. So the Afrikaner, white Afrikaner, was more African than the English-speaking or British descendant who then took up citizenship in Africa. So that was there. So the question is still very, I suppose, very philosophical, and in finding out what who we are as Africans and what makes you African. Please share that with me. Is it the language you speak? Is it the culture that you carry? Is it your nostalgic sentiments about the continent? Is it your love and passion for this place? What truly makes you African? I can't imagine myself being anything else other than being African, with all its pains, with all its burdens that we shoulder. I feel extremely fortunate that I'm African. Maybe you see it differently. Share that with me. And this is in lieu of Africa Day on the open line. A little bit later on, 10 to 11, we across the desk feature, we are speaking to children of struggle stalwarts who grew up in exile. That must have been very, very difficult, because no normal childhood. You would have to cross borders, secret meetings. You would be exposed to perhaps some weaponry as a child, and you were forced into that life as well of joining the movement, the liberation movement, at a young age, not out of choice, but out of the accident of birth. We'll touch on that, and we'll be speaking to Shelling Gadimeng and Masechaba Mposwa. And then, of course, much later on, I know you love this feature, Relationship Focus, 11 and 12, the role of forgiveness in a relationship. There is a friend of mine who once said at a wedding, I don't remember whose wedding it was, who said that forgiveness is marriage is a stokvel of forgiveness. So if you understand the concept of stokvel, is that today, if there's Abel, myself, and Sinazo in a stokvel, today we give Abel 100 rands, and tomorrow we give Sinazo 100 rands, and tomorrow they give me 100 rands. And he was arguing that forgiveness is that currency that moves like stokvel money in a marriage from one partner to the other, and without which marriage cannot work. I don't know about that. It's not like I'm an expert in those things. So, on relationship focus, have you forgiven someone who did something very terrible to you in a relationship and it still haunts you, or you forgot about it? We'll touch on that a little bit later on. For now, feel free to shout and call on 011-883-0702, 011-883-0702. Alternatively, you can send a voice note to 072-702-1702. I would love to hear from you. 17 after 9.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
011-883-0702. Titi, you've been holding for quite some time. Let me just release you from the suspense. Welcome. What do you have to say to the rest of South Africa? Like you said?
Sharp. Just to reiterate the compliments regarding Clement and the team.
Yeah.
Clement is one guy I put up there. He's one of my top broadcasters on radio. Him and a guy called Ayabo Watawe. Clement takes reporter journalism to a whole new level. And he's a young black brother,
Yes.
In a radio station that was predominantly white. Obviously, it's transformed over the years, but it was predominantly white. And for the station to entrust such a big task to a young black brother, it makes me proud, Robin.
Yes, sir.
And he's done very, very, very well. Very well, and compliments to 702 for making that investment.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a lot. I mean, getting someone to travel and with the camera crew and the accommodation, etc. So it's a big investment. So big compliments to that. Yeah, I was very proud, honestly. And when you guys paid tribute to the founder of Prime Media, and that journalist guy, that veteran journalist said that. I think when Mandela was released, you were one of the only radio stations that international media relied on for information, So you guys carried it through. So, just a compliment on my side.
No, I think... And he says he only has few words. Titi, thanks for that, my brother, because I'm glad when we have these type of engagements, because at times we just complain, and we are very good at criticizing individuals, and it gives me courage, and I am on his behalf. Thank you so much. I thought
back to him. He must hear it.
No, certainly, and he will definitely. I'm thrilled for him. Thanks, Titi. All the best. 011-883-0702. Another matter that I thought I wanted to throw here on the open line is the concept of cluster thinking. Psychologists and philosophers have got a more formal way of approaching it, but it just merely simply refers to the fact that, especially in South Africa, that we use a binary way of looking at things. So just because, as an example, someone is a DA member, we automatically assume that they would not care about the plight of the poor, right? And if you were a member of the DA and you wore it on your sleeve, I would be thinking they don't care about transformation, they don't care about the plight of black people, the poor, they're just protecting the interests of the middle class, and they're arrogant, and they this and this. It's othering others. And if you're a member of the ANC, we're just thinking, you only think this way, perhaps you don't care about moving forward, or if you're an EFF member. So we think in these silos, and we label those who belong to certain group of thoughts as others, as perhaps backwards and not as enlightened as we are. We forget the nuance that exists, that you could be, as an example, an ANC member, but have strong affinity to what AfriForum is doing, and agree with AfriForum on some issues. Because as human beings, we are so complex. It's not one hat fits all. It is not. And another example that I made to the producers earlier on is that in some instances, you find racists marrying across color lines. It doesn't make sense, at least to me. But those nuances and complexities are there. And to what extent are we allowing those cluster thinking, parochial school of thoughts to divide us? Because you'll find that we have more in common across ideological divides than what divides us. So that is there. And in South Africa, it's such a popular thing. We love othering individuals. If you don't agree with me, I automatically think that you're backwards, you're racist, and you are a sympathizer of the past. And perhaps if you were to say, listen, I prefer IFP over ANC, and I'm thinking, clearly they've got traditional thoughts about issues, and chances are it could be that this person is a traditionalist, and it could be that you disagree with a lot of African traditions, but you are still a member of the IFP. However, you think very little of cultural practices and whatever else. So those complexities are there, and I thought maybe we can ventilate that as well. But anything else goes on 702 on an open line, 011-883-0702. And I was also reminded that on Friday, you preferred to talk about Gratitude Friday. What are you grateful for today? Something could have happened. Maybe you have a new boyfriend. You are in love. You are smiling. It could be that you got a new job. Yes, and after submitting so many CVs, someone invited you for an invite, and you just want to say, I'm happy, I'm grateful, thank you. I listen to Clement whenever he's doing the grateful feature, and I'm just thinking at times, it does so much. It does so much for your mood, for your day, when you wake up and you're saying, things could be terrible. I'm grateful. Maybe nothing major has happened in my life, but there's a roof over my head. I don't have to worry about what we are going to eat in the evening like many South Africans do. I don't have to worry about petrol money. I don't have to worry about this, that, or the other. What are you grateful for today? It could be that you recently graduated. Congratulations. It could be that you are promoted at work. It could be that you have your first client as a business that just opened up. I'd love to hear from you. 011-883-0702. John, you are in my neck of the woods in Roodepoort. Hey, Tada.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm free, John. How's it going with you, bud?
Good, man. I just wanted to say good luck, man, to Mamelodi Sundowns for tomorrow. I think the whole country's quiet.
I'm one of those in that quiet choir.
I thought let's leave a bit of politics and let's have a bit of banter. And I'm grateful to be a Mamelodi Sundowns fan. Have a great day.
Hey, listen, before you escape so quickly, I wish we had faced you in the CAF finals, right? So that's why I'm quiet. That's why I'm not thrilled, because as a Pirates fan, I would have wanted it to be a major South African face-off, and it would have put us somewhere. But on a serious note, John, thank you so much. But I also wish you well, because you are not only representing Buyelo, you are representing the rest of us in South Africa. All the best, John.
Thank you.
All the best, John in Roodepoort. I'll take your calls now on 011-883-0702. Abel, can we take some voice notes that I've been neglecting on 072-702-1702?
Hello, 702. I'm English. I grew up in South Africa, but I still believe that I am African. I grew up in this place, and I experienced similar things. We're all living in this country, and we all have certain things that we just know about. There is a culture here, even if we ignore what language you speak. That's my opinion. This is Josh from Pretoria.
Yeah, Josh, I'm glad you called, and I'm glad you deposited your thoughts on that. And Josh is mainly responding to the call that I made. What makes you African? Today, as we will be celebrating Africa Day, truly what makes you African? I really want to know. And if I were to attempt responding to my own question, I'd say my love for this continent makes me African. It's my love. I genuinely love this place. And for me, it's not just a place, it's home. And it's the only home that we have. And I feel terrible when people want to mess up our home because this is all that we have. And you cannot love this home without loving its people. Because just like that old age song, a house is not a home. Because if you don't love the people, this is just a house to you, it's not a home. But you have to love the people of Africa. You have to love what this place does for all of us. I challenge you to say that you're not African if you don't love Africans. And I'm not talking about color, by the way. If you don't love Africans, don't call yourself African. Because Africans make Africa to be what it is. 0727021702. I have not been looking at your text messages. Maybe I should do that. Let's go straight to them. This one says, for me, being African is about the love I have for this incredible continent and its people. It's the warmth, resilience, and diversity that resonates deeply with me. Nia sending that one. Howdy, I'm listening from Southall, London. If you're born and bred in Africa, you are African. I'm really homesick. Oh, man, Greg. So why don't you come home? Is it work that takes you to London? Come home, man. Come home. It would be nice to have you home. And I'm just glad that you love this place as well. 011-883-0702.
Hi, Tabo. It's Mike here from Ivory Park. The issue of borderless Africa, it's a good idea, though. But looking at the continent's economies, if we were to implement that idea, the countries with the good economies will suffer the most. At the moment, as it's happening at the moment, South Africa, it's hosting a lot of African migrants. So until such time where other African countries improve economically, we should put that idea on ice. But it's a good thing, though. Thank you, Tabo.
Love that, Mike. Really love that. And keep those messages coming through on 072-702-1702. I would love to hear from you. Also your calls. I'll take your calls, Vinay, Sipo, and others. I'll grab your calls just after this. It's exactly 9:30. Time for Eyewitness News headlines with Sfiso Zulu. Welcome to the show, Sfiso. Good morning. What's the latest?
Thanks, Thabo. Good morning. 3 men linked to the murder of Mangosuthu University of Technology lecturer Shanlal Dwarika have been sentenced to life imprisonment and in 20 years. The group, which worked on renovating Dwarika's lake home, kidnapped him, and exactly a year ago, they forced him to give up his bank card before killing him and dumping his body in a bush. The investigating officer in the rape case of an 11-year-old girl has submitted their opposition to the release of a man accused of impregnating her on bail. He believes the 29-year-old, who is a Ugandan national, may flee the country if released. The suspect made another appearance before the Boksburg Magistrates Court yesterday, where the details of the multiple rapes were submitted in court. And as the dust settles following the presidential exchange between Cyril Ramaphosa and Donald Trump, the need to talk with lobby groups, AfriForum and Solidarity have been highlighted. During a meeting in the Oval Office this week, Trump amplified the baseless narrative of a white genocide in South Africa by playing footage of EFF leader Julius Malema chanting, "Kill the farmer, kill the Boer." Ramaphosa dispelled the myth of Afrikaner killings, but Trump refused to budge, insisting his narrative was true. And those are the headlines this EWN, and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards Centurion, leaving the Midrand area, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N1 southbound between Ellendale and the Batloo interchange. Also, if you're traveling through Bedfordview, slow-moving traffic. This is leaving Germiston, heading towards LX N3 northbound between the Galdenes interchange and Giluli's. Traffic is also a bit sluggish if you are leaving Amalgam Joburg area, heading towards Rivoli. That's Main Reef Road between the M2 and Nazareth Road. Otherwise, things have settled down pretty nicely throughout the Joburg CBD. Throughout Gauteng, rather, no accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights, though, in Rand Park Ridge, Bayers Nodia, and the N1, as well as in Bryanston at Winnie Mandela Drive and Sloane. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hello, welcome to the Crazy Store.
Hello, hi. I would like a refund for the stress ball.
Of course.
I have been squeezing it for 6 days and I'm still totally stressed out.
I see.
These safety pins, they don't work. I pin them to my pants, but they don't make me feel safe. Can I exchange them for this pepper spray?
No problem. The Crazy Store. Our quality promise means we'll replace or refund any of our products that you are not happy with.
Activate your next aerial adventure and launch into a world of riveting riches with Hollywood Bets. With so many options to choose from and more rewards than you could wish for, our range of multiplier games is jam-packed with precious prizes. Zoom to new heights with JetX and strap in for fantastic fun with Skyward. Skyrocket to success with Highflyer and prepare for the ultimate thrill ride with Aviatrix. We've got it all just for you. Hollywood Bets. Fly higher with our multiplier. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
It took time to create the life you've built. Every milestone, every moment, you've earned it. Indra takes the time to understand what's priceless to you, tailoring insurance to match a life of distinction. True peace of mind comes from knowing that everything you've worked for is insured with precision. It starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindra.co.za. Indra Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
Some walks are just for exercise, others for leisure. But this walk is for something greater.
It's team building.
This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. You'll walk through history. You'll walk with it. On Sunday, 27 July, the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns. It's a route that winds through the heart and soul of our capital city. From the sacred grounds of Freedom Park to the powerful steps of the Union Buildings. Choose the 8-kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7-kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4-kilometer for families and first-timers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for children under 12. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
25 minutes to 10 o'clock. Thabo in for Clement. You're on 702. Thanks for joining us. It's an open line. Whatever is on your mind goes at this point. Feel free to share things that are happening in your locality. And I would like to talk about everything else. I was just mentioning that what makes you African? What is it that makes you African right now? And not just South African, by the way. African, because we are a part of this beautiful continent. A lot of people, whenever they make their arguments about other parts of the continent, they would say, in Africa, this is what's happening. And you would be thinking, where are we as South Africa when you're saying in Africa? Right here, this is Africa. 011-883-0702. Vinay, you are giving us a call from Dunkeld. Hi, welcome. Good morning.
Hi, Thabo. I absolutely love the way you answer when people ask you, how are you? And you say, I'm free. I love that.
Thank you.
So for me, I've often asked myself the question, and a few years ago when I tried to join a prayer group in Pretoria of a whole lot of kick-ass, powerful African women, I was told, what makes you African, being of Indian origin? And my answer to that is I'm fifth generation South African and very proudly African. And the reason why I love Africa is because of the warmth of her people, the beautiful landscapes, and the homegrown hospitality. All of that seeps into your soul. So if I had to answer in a short answer, it's because I'm African in my soul.
Fantastic.
That's why I love Africa.
I love it very much. I love that, Vinay. So allow me to play devil's advocate, if you will. And I'm just asking for purposes of understanding a bit more. So you mentioned that you are of Indian origin, right? Fifth generation South African.
Yes.
Between the two, where's your affinity?
Sorry, where's my
affinity between South Africa and Africa and India? Because I would think that the older we grow, the more we are magnetized and attracted to our origins strongly, and some of your origins are rightly so in India. Do you feel a sense of nostalgia in India? Is there any sentiment that you hold very close to your heart for India?
I love the food. I love the traditions. I love the attire. But I am purebred African.
Fantastic.
And that's why I said it's in my soul.
Yes.
Because even though I understand I'm of Indian origin, I'm African first, I'm South African, and then I'm of Indian origin in that order.
Vinay, thanks for indulging me. Really appreciate it. And thanks for calling 011-883-0702.
Good morning, Thabo. Good morning to the 702 listeners. Thabo, I just want to say thank you for bringing the gratitude part of the show for today as well. And I just want to say I am so grateful this morning that I received my invitation for my graduation, which is going to be held on the 18th of July. I don't know how I'm feeling. I don't believe that I am here now. And I just want to say a big thank you to my employer for believing in me when I could not even believe myself, and also for paying for my fees. Yeah, man. Like, it's just a dream that I never thought it was possible.
Fabulous.
But today I can really say, yeah, I am here now, and it's possible for every child out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is just so beautiful. That is so amazing. Grateful Friday, and they have it on the show every other Friday on the open line. You can call in and tell us what are you grateful for. There's something about being grateful that truly matters, and we were just hearing that in a short while. All the best to you and congratulations. 011-883-0702. I would love to hear more from you.
Good morning, 702 land, and good morning, Thabo. I think an open border policy in Africa could work fantastically. But I think on top of that, you would have to add restrictions on social programs and or a set of policies between countries to handle social programs for things like healthcare and grants and those kinds of things, so that if the borders are open and everyone can travel freely, but if you come to a hospital here, then the country of origin settles that bill if it has to be socially handled. Then that would work perfectly. Open trade relations would be fantastic. Product movement would be great. Workforces would be strengthened. But, you don't want your social programs to suffer because of an influx of people in your slightly more developed economies.
It's a very interesting one, isn't it? Because if we just open the borders, there would be a bit of chaos, and that has to be managed appropriately. We would need a very solid and strong program in place to facilitate for that. The likes of Muammar Gaddafi, who were pushing for an African currency, just like the euro. Perhaps it would be called the Afro or something else, a coin from Africa, an exchange mechanism that all African countries can use to trade with each other, silencing the guns in Africa, the intra-Africa trade. Those are some key questions that are bedeviling the continent right now. And of course, xenophobia is one of the issues that we have to deal with. And how do we achieve that? A united one Africa that can truly thrive given the divisions that we have. And many of them, by the way, without necessarily exhausting the past too much. They are based in our historical past. Africa is divided, as you know. You'd have Francophone Africa, you have Anglophone Africa, and we fall under that a little bit. And you also have the Lusophone Africa. And those divisions have often propelled us to discriminate against each other. What better example than the Pan-African Parliament, where they can't even agree on the rotation of the presidency of that important institution, where some countries and where some regions want to hold on to power for as long as possible, where they can't even agree on the unity of the continent, and they are supposed to be leaders from all over the place, where they are divided according to those boundaries that I've just mentioned, and boundaries that were predetermined by colonizers, the Portuguese, the English, and the French as a result. So it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing that we then retract and retreat into those cocoons in order now to perpetuate colonialism ourselves without the colonizer this time around. So Africa is faced with some serious issues. 011-883-0702, and it is also Gratitude Friday. Before I break, let me just quickly read this text message. Hi, good morning, 702. I'm just grateful that I will be graduating next week. I'm the first in the family to graduate in a public university, thanks to people like Ntate Bonang and Mr. Malcolm for their support during my difficult times. I'm grateful. Which Malcolm are you referring to here? Is it the one who is the unofficial mayor of Sandton? Let us know. 011-883-0702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
In the case where you have committed to being a monk, have you already decided that marriage is not something that you would want, or are you open to that being a part of your journey under the conditions of either abstinence or whatever else that you would decide for yourself?
I'll tell you this. I'm loving my life. I'm loving the way I'm living my life. I'm loving the simplicity of it, the time that I'm afforded because of my celibacy, and the depth of relationships that I have with people is something that I never had before.
Devoted monk Vrajabasi Das Prabhu.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Doll, you know you can't tell us anything, hey? You realize we can see all these men bringing you gifts at all hours, right?
Sorry?
Sweetie, we know about your weakness for men in uniform.
Excuse me? Those men in uniform work for one cart, and they understand my needs. Michelle, they shop the entire mall for me, like Macro, Lint, Toy Kingdom, and more. Maybe you should download One Cart and get your needs delivered in 60 minutes.
If you knew the future, you'd be brave. Well, now you can be with Volvo's guaranteed future value. Get your EX30 from 9,999 per month, and after 48 months, return, upgrade or keep. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. Based on 6.13% interest, 48-month term, 10% deposit and 52% GFE. Initiation fee of 1,207.50 and monthly service fee is 69 Rand. Total cost of credit is 904,500. Finance officer subject to approval from Volvo Car Finance, a product of Westbank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. NCRCP 20. T's and C's apply.
Oh, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options: At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it. 702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
011-883-0702. What makes you African? Or it could be that you don't feel that you are African, and please share that with us as well. I'm not opposed to views that are contrary to mine. It could be that you feel that Africa has got a long way to go, and it could be that you want to dissect and point at the weaknesses that we have as a continent. It could be that you are asking a very interesting question that since independence in the 60s, for some countries at least, little development has come to the fore. And there would be those who argue that, of course, a number of European countries are strangling the development of Africa through the unending debt that various countries have to honor. You'd remember in some countries when colonizers left, they literally destroyed their infrastructure and said that we built this, you want us out, we are destroying everything and you need to start from the beginning. Some countries are still paying to date, huge amounts of money, and it's called debt to the former colonizers, and they have to also give those countries their minerals as a result. Quite unfortunate. But what makes you African? 011-883-0702. In a short while, we will speak to Crystal Odyssey, who is, of course, a correspondent that you know very well, and we are looking at May being Africa Month and Africa Day being just around the corner, this Sunday to be precise, and we thought we'd speak to 702's Africa's correspondent Crystal Odyssey just to discuss around Africa's economic resilience and global investment landscape. And Crystal is on the line right now. Let's go straight to her. Crystal, thanks for joining us. Welcome once again. And I don't know whether to say Happy Africa Month.
Yes. Hey, good morning, Tabo. Actually, the first time I get to chat to you about, of course, Africa, which I am very passionate about, and being an Afro optimist in these trying times. So, yes, indeed, I think we should celebrate Africa every day, but I'm glad that at least May is set out for Africa Month, and then, of course, we're all celebrating Africa Day on Sunday. Do you know in some countries it's actually a public holiday?
Really? Really? Yeah. Crystal, I didn't know that. I mean, I'm thrilled to speak to you too. I mean, I've been listening to you for a better part of my life, and your passion for the continent and your insights are always eye-opening, and they give us a perspective that we never saw altogether. And speaking of perspective, Crystal, to what extent is that lingering, the negative Africa perception amongst us? Is it still there? I mean, back in the time, you'd remember the pictures on CNN of little kids crying because of hunger, and that was the picture of Africa. Have we moved from there? Are we getting better? Are we seen in a greater light throughout the world?
I do think so. I mean, I always think of South Africa that firstly, we were so isolated from the rest of the continent, you know, and it was part of the kind of apartheid legacy that we were just looking internal. So for South Africans as a whole, we've had to step out of ourselves, getting to know the continent in its diversity, not just Southern Africa, East Africa, Central and West Africa. I think the world is also seeing Africa differently, Tabo, because we are rich in mineral resources and we have the people. And if there's going to be any growth taking place in this world, apart from China, it's going to happen in this continent, Tabo. So I do think there's been a lot of optimism, but we can't, of course, I can't run away from the challenges, Tabo. You see the headlines of Sudan, one of the saddest and longest conflicts that is there. We can't run away from the M23 rebels, you know, in Eastern Congo. So of course, we have to be realistic. There are conflicts happening, but there's also other amazing things happening. And I think despite the challenging headwinds that we're seeing globally and geopolitically, different African countries are still thriving.
And where does that put us? I'm just wondering, is it possible to be an optimist, to be a great enthusiast of this continent, and yet still with sobriety reflect on its weaknesses and at times propelled by some of our own, Crystal?
Absolutely. So if we just look, Tabo, like around the economic growth, it's still Africa still is quite a growth kind of focus for the rest of the world, because we do have minerals and we also have a population, of course. And so if we just look at the economic indicators, so the World Bank, for instance, puts economic growth at 3.7%. The African Development Bank, much more optimistic, they're putting it at 4.3%. And they still say that we remain the world's second fastest growing region after Asia, with about 12 of the 20 fastest growing economies projected to be on the continent. So I don't think we can run away from that, and that there's different regions, whether it's West Africa, East, Central or Southern Africa, that offer real innovation and also opportunities, not only in the kind of critical minerals that we have, but also in its people and opportunities for different sectors to develop.
And speaking of which, investment is a buzzword right now in Africa, right? And the World Bank's private investment arm, I hear that they're planning to increase significantly investment in Africa. What are they saying about that? Because we do need investment.
Yes, we do. And so I think firstly, Tabo, back to your earlier point, last week there was the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire, and President Cyril Ramaphosa and President Paul Kagame from Rwanda were on the same platform. And the question of, where is Africa at came up. And it was interesting listening what Paul Kagame has been saying. And he was saying, you know what? In essence, we should stop listening to the noise. Africa is an engine of growth. We need to focus on what do we have, where are the gaps. Yes, geopolitics are always going to change, but let's focus on what we can bring to the table. And I think that was so important, Tabo, because I often think that it's easy that Africa becomes this kind of punching bag for everyone, and yet, there's all these kind of hub and opportunities that's happening. So yes, back to your question on the World Bank. So they've got a private investment arm, and that arm is saying, look, we are feeling actually quite optimistic, and we are increasing the International Finance Corporations, which is the IFC's investments in Africa. And so we're looking at about $14 billion in commitments. That's up from 23% from the previous year. And here we're looking at the investments would be in sectors across different sectors, but especially energy, digital infrastructure, agriculture, manufacturing and business development. So here you have an outside arm saying, well, we're feeling optimistic. So what does that mean? We don't just want the World Bank, Tabo, to come and say, here's money on the table. We also want other private sector companies, also governments, to come in and say, well, here's money. We can also put it on the table.
Billboards are flagged with G20 and everything else. We had the president in his interaction in the Oval Office recently speaking about the G20 and asking President Trump to be there for the handover. Africa's place in the G20 and B20, why is that important, Crystal?
I think it's very important, Tabo, that it's the first time that an African country's actually got the G20 presidency. And again, we know there's been a lot of noise, but there's 18 other countries, Tabo, that is still part of the G20, and it's not just the US. I think firstly, we need to stop that noise and focus on, here's an opportunity for not only South Africa, but the African agenda to be part of it. And so I think that is first and foremost. So look, there's a lot happening. And Tabo, we're looking at more than 200 meetings taking place in different sectors, from telecommunications to health to corruption education to investment, so there's a lot happening. And then, of course, there's the big Heads of State Summit. And so I think it matters for Africa because the African Union is also a member. And I think South Africa's theme and the B20 in particular, inclusive growth and prosperity through global cooperation. So we see the key priorities, employment, education, and what we see in particular, it is the first time we're seeing business also getting involved and saying, look, here's a platform to discuss trade, investment, and other economic issues that influences the policy decision-making. And Tabu, yes, I've attended a lot of different meetings from African Development Bank, IMF, World Bank, and including the G20, which was the finance track and the foreign ministers track. And so, yes, of course, it's a lot of closed-door meetings. So even I think my challenge to the media is that we need to find the nuances of why does this matter? Why is it important? And it's often behind closed doors, informal discussions, where other deals are going to see the light of day. So it really is just this opportunity that allows for South Africa and Africa to really highlight some of the strengths and, of course, promote its own role in the global economy.
We have to leave it at that, Crystal. I loved talking to you, and I love what you're doing for this continent and covering it and giving us fresh perspectives on this beautiful place that we all call home. I suppose the words to use would be those from Ingwapele Mudingwane, that wonderful poet who said, "Africa my beginning, Africa my ending." Crystal, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Crystal Odison, 702 Africa correspondent.
Every time we're on the radio, we're not just talking.
We're turning words into actions.
Actions that change communities. Actions that make a difference. And every time you tune into 702, you're not just listening. Want to be. So keep walking with 702. And let's make this a journey to remember.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Make this Friday unforgettable when you play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 73 million rand in total estimated jackpots. That's right. Play Powerball for an estimated 67 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 6 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Handa, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Dear Journal, adulting, day 3,700 and whatever. Just bought a bunch of supplements I can't pronounce to try and fix my sleep schedule. What a game changer. So chuffed I spotted them when I was doom scrolling at 11:53 p.m.
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Welcome to Nando's Customer Care.
Hi.
How can I fire up your day?
Sorry?
Yes.
My boundaries have been disrespected with how hard it was to choose a side from your endless, amazing menu options. Choosing between peri chips or wedges, spicy rice, coleslaw, salad, or the spinach.
Okay.
Then, the Nando's full chicken basted in that unique peri-peri sauce needs me to choose any two sharing sides from all of those options with a 1.5-litre Coke. I have no complaint. That's my complaint. Okay, thanks, bye.
Nando's. Fire it up.
This is EWN.
Good morning. I'm Sfiso, dumping his body in a bush. NPA KZN spokesperson Natasha Ramkinson Kara.
Mshongo and Makayo were sentenced to 5 years imprisonment each for kidnapping, 15 years imprisonment each for robbery with aggravating circumstances, and life imprisonment each for murder. They will serve an effective term of life imprisonment. Mahaye was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for kidnapping and 15 years imprisonment for the robbery with aggravating circumstances. The court ordered that the sentences run consecutively. We hope that the stern sentences run consecutively, resulting in the effective sentence of 20 years imprisonment.
The investigating officer in the rape case of an 11-year-old girl has submitted their opposition to the release of the man accused of impregnating her on bail. He believes the 29-year-old, who is a Ugandan national, may flee the country if released. The suspect made another appearance before the Boksburg Magistrates Court yesterday, where the details of the multiple rapes were submitted in court. It's alleged that he's been raping the little girl since she was 6 until she fell pregnant in the last incident in December last year. The investigating officer's affidavit was read before the court by prosecutor Kagiso Ralitata.
The accused person is from Uganda and he is legal in South Africa. He has ties, family and financial. However, given the gravity of this particular offense, he may have an incentive to evade trial and go back home.
He says the victim's family and community have pleaded with the court not to release the suspect on bail.
There is public outcry in the matter. There is evidence that shows that people are protesting against the release of the accused, and there is also a petition from the community.
2 Eastern Cape women arrested for kidnapping newborn babies from a hospital will appear in the New Brighton Magistrates Court today. They were handcuffed this week after snatching the infants from the maternity ward at Dora Ngiza Hospital. Health MEC Ntandokazi Caba says the affected mothers are receiving support.
So as a department, we are really sorry that incident happened and we wanted to come and meet with the families. Indeed, we have engaged with the families. And we have had a long discussion. There's quite a number of issues that they have raised, and one of those is the customer care in the hospital.
And as the dust settles following the presidential exchange between Cyril Ramaphosa and Donald Trump, the need for talks with lobby groups AfriForum and Solidarity has been highlighted. During a meeting in the Oval Office this week, Trump amplified the baseless narrative of a white genocide in South Africa by playing footage of EFF leader Julius Malema chanting, "Kill the farmer, kill the Boer." Ramaphosa dispelled the myth of Afrikaner killings, but Trump refused to budge, insisting his narrative was right. Professor Chris Landsberg from the Center for African Diplomacy says South Africa's mission to the White House was accomplished.
I think the Afrikaner genocide thing has caused so much damage that we have to work on strategies on how we're going to turn this thing around. And I've reached the point where I think we have to tackle this thing on the home front with AfriForum and Solidarity and others.
Gold is trading at $3,324.80 an ounce. The rand is at 17.91 to the dollar, 24.10 to the pound, 20.28 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.03 a barrel.
Well, in Midrand at this stage, heading into Sandton, you can expect about a 30-minute delay between New Road and the Batlu interchange. It looks like there's an accident scene there. It's not yet clear, though, but you can always let us know. Please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land not looking too bad. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Alex at Marlborough and Far East Bank, as well as in Red Park Ridge at Bearsnodia and the N1.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 19 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: 3 men linked to the murder of Mangosuthu University of Technology lecturer Shanlal Dwarika have been sentenced to life imprisonment and 20 years.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Six minutes after 10 o'clock, Tabo in for Clement, you're on 702. Thanks for joining us. We're together till 12. Great having you with us, and please don't go away because we have so much more in store. In the previous hour, it was an open line. We also touched on a little bit of gratitude, and I asked you, what are you grateful for? And some of your text messages came through. This one touched me. And I thought, let me just quickly go back to it. It says, good morning, 702 Land. I'm so grateful this morning. My daughter, Lebo Moeng, graduated in absentia yesterday. She couldn't attend a graduation ceremony because she is in Stellenbosch, busy with assignment and getting ready for exams starting next week. She was so down last night, and I posted her on my rolling status. The love she got, and she's still getting warm love at my heart big time. I'm thankful to God Almighty. coming from mom. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And Lebo, all the best to you, Lebo Moeng. All the best, and to everyone else who is graduating, we wish you the very best. And we move to our next segment. It's called Across the Desk. Children of political stalwarts who grew up in exile. 7 after 10.
Let's walk the talk.
7:02.
Of course, we come from a difficult past, and apartheid was very heavy. It affected everyone as a nation, but also individuals as families. You'd remember that children of apartheid struggle stalwarts were also affected, and they were forced into exile with their parents. And there's a powerful tapestry of memory, loss, and the resilience, and it's continuing to unfold. Those things just don't go away because you're an adult and now we are voting. I suppose they stay with you, and it can be an easy childhood. My guests, Maschaba Mposo, you'd remember her as Maschaba Andlovu, and Shelley Nkadimeng, and both of them will be recounting their childhoods, not marked by playgrounds and toys and lots of stuff, classrooms, but by their border crossings. At times, they were exposed to secret meetings, and all these individuals would later become important leaders in government would traverse their homes in and out, and but it couldn't have been easy, so we thought let's do an Across the Desk feature with them. Ladies, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shelley Nkadimeng, who's an assistant director at the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements. Shelley, thanks for your time. Welcome to 702. Good morning.
Thank you, and good morning to all the listeners.
Maschaba, also to you. Maschaba is a journalist and TV presenter, well-known figure in South Africa. Maschaba, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Maschaba Mposo, welcome to 702.
Thank you, Thabo. Good morning, and good morning to all your listeners.
Let's start right there, perhaps, Shirley. I said the childhood was not easy, and I said also that it was, I suppose, marred by different things as opposed to just going to crash and coming back home. Take us a little bit back. When did you leave home, or you born on the other side? And how was it like as a child growing up in exile? Surely it wasn't that easy. And were you aware of it at that particular point?
Oh, thank you very much for this opportunity. Yes, we've had a really, really difficult life, but filled with love, with unity, and with camaraderie. You know, we were comrades living together in a communal environment. I left the country with my mother in 1979, and I was around 12 years old. We left from Soweto, Diepkloof, that's where we were staying. We left properly. We actually didn't skip the country because we left with a passport through the border into Swaziland. At that time, I must say, I wasn't aware of what was going on. I was wondering where my father was actually, and my brothers and sisters, because they left before us. My father left in 1976 after the uprisings in July. My other brother, Benon, who's now late, and my dad also is late, left in 1976. My other siblings left the following year in 1978. So I was excited as we were going to Swaziland. For me, I was looking forward to seeing my father, obviously, seeing my siblings, because I was very, very close to my sister, Kadi. So I was looking forward to seeing her when we get to Swaziland. The trip was smooth. We, arrived safely in Swaziland, and we were, we were received by one of the MK guys and taken to Stan Mabizela's household. That's where I met my dad. He looked so different. He had beard. Before he left, he used to shave. He had beard, lots of beard and stuff. I was shy. My first experience of excitement was also a bit of withdrawal, because I was like, my dad looks so different. And I didn't know how to be happy for him. I didn't know what to do. It was just so many emotions, and very, very emotional as well for my mom as well.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so that was my trip to Swaziland.
Is that where you settled
Yes,
thereafter? And for how long?
No, actually, then because when I left the country, I was in grade 4. So I started my grade 5 in Swaziland at Malkins Valley School. My experience there was very interesting because, coming from Bantu education and going to a school that teaches in English, the medium of teaching was English in Matapa. I was staying in Matapa and going to Malkins Primary School. It was a private school in a farm. We had an English teacher. Our teacher was actually from the United States of America. And it was my first time to be at to have that close encounter with a white person coming from Soweto. We never used to have TVs and stuff. We used to listen to stories on radio. So that experience as well, it was a bit of I was afraid of everything because I didn't know how to converse in isiSwati.
Yes.
I knew how to speak isiZulu, and then now I have to learn how to speak English at school. So I became withdrawn and very unfriendly. I didn't want to play with other kids because they were speaking in English, and then I couldn't hear a word of what they were saying. So my first year was hard. But then there was this girl from South Africa in Krugersdorp, Gemma Mulife. Gemma became my friend because she spoke my language. She spoke Setswana.
Yeah.
So me and her sat next to each other in class. And at break, we played together because we could converse in Setswana.
Yes.
But before I knew it, I could speak English. I don't know when did it happen? But then I could converse.
Yeah.
And then I became, I loved reading. I started reading novels. I started reading books. And I got closer to my teacher that I used to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch her hair. I was fascinated by everything,
I
to
see.
be honest.
I see.
And the school had so many amenities.
Yes. Yes. Maschaba,
Yeah,
for you,
and it was
where were you based, and early memories? Were you aware at that point that this is not home?
Thanks very much, Tabo. Wow, what a story! What a story! What a life! So for me, it was quite different. But before I get into my story, Tabo, I'd like to start by paying tribute to and offering my sincere condolences to the Shope family.
Yes.
Following the death of our beloved 99-year-old Mam Shope, Gertrude Shope, who received my mom. She stayed with my mother, who, together with other ANC and Radio Freedom journalists, were declared persona non grata in Madagascar. And when they landed in Dar es Salaam, where my mother was requested by the ANC Tanzania office to swell the ranks of Radio Freedom on Radio Dar es Salaam, prior to her departure to Angola via Lusaka, Zambia, where she stayed with Umama Gertrude Shope in the township home in Lusaka, what they call Libala. And Meshope was the head of Libala-based head office of the ANC Women's Section in Exile. And my mother was pregnant with me at the time. So my story began before I was born. My mother left the country after the 1976 student uprising in Soweto. And she left the country when she was 14 and a half. And so you can only just imagine. I was born in Zambia, in Lusaka, Zambia, in 1983, right? So I spent the first 5 years of my life in Zambia, having been born in exile. And I was quite fluent in Sinyanja. I became, my parents, they still call me their translator. I became their translator. You couldn't gossip about my parents in my presence because for language is innate. It becomes more difficult to learn as you get older, but when you're very young in those early childhood development stages, you just pick up languages. You lose them just as easily. So the first 5 years of my life, I was born in H, which is University Teaching Hospital, and for the first 5 years of my life, a lot of people don't talk about the fact that, we wore secondhand clothing as a baby, including me. From day one of my birth, I wore secondhand nappies, baby clothes that were donated by, progressive mankind the world over. And I understand that we call these secondhand bales umpando. So from UTH, University Teaching Hospital, where I was born, I was taken to Emmarsdale, where the ANC had a massive residential area, come military base for MK cadres, where my mother shared a space with Marion Spark, the very feisty MK soldier, who became the first woman to be sentenced to 25 years in prison by the apartheid regime. So for the first 5 years of my life, that's all the life that I knew. There was nothing strange for me. I was born there. It was my reality.
No comparison.
I was surrounded. You understand? So I was surrounded by love. I had no idea of what was going on around my world. You know, when I say my world, I mean not only in Lusaka, but why I was there. That actually this is not my country, because my language was Sinyanja, you know? So there were very interesting moments that were kind of unusual, but like you say, there was nothing to compare it to. You know what I mean? Being surrounded by soldiers was a norm, etc. And it was a relatively normal childhood. Now, here's the interesting thing. So when I turned 5, my sister was also born in Lusaka. She was born when I was 5. The both of us were illegally smuggled into South Africa with fake passports. This was a very dangerous mission. And the reason for this was because my parents were, at some point they had to go to the Soviet Union for military training.
Yes.
As you would know, we were from many different countries across the world. So the idea was to get me to Soweto, where my sister and I could be raised in Soweto by my grandmother. So on this very dangerous mission, and interestingly enough, I don't know if you remember the musician Babsi Mlangi. He's very much alive, and I hope to meet with him one day soon to just say thank you so much. So,
yes.
Yeah, I was smuggled in. Passport,
oh my goodness me! Yeah. Yeah.
I must have looked like a boy because they bought it and we were safely smuggled into the country. I was then from there raised by my grandmother for the next 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. But having arrived in Soweto, Nebam Pizza, and I'm sorry for this derogatory term, but this is my reality.
Yeah.
They called me Lekwerekwere.
Yes.
The very derogatory term to a foreign national, right? And the reason for this was because I couldn't speak fluently. I couldn't speak any other language. I only spoke Sinyanja. After my arrival, my grandmother always reminded me that when the phone rang and I picked up the phone and the person on the other end said, "Kimo Kai Mo, where is that?" I said, "Kimo South Africa."
Well, yeah, Mastava, let's hold it there for a little bit, because I just want us to dive deeper into those stories together with Shelin Kadimeng. And I also want to find out from you, because, as young people grow up, you interact with other children and the games that you played there. You need your natural childhood upbringing to kick in. And I'm keen to know, at which point were your eyes opened that these people are different to me? So let's touch on that in a short while. It's 20 minutes after 10 o'clock. You are on 702. Africa is not just growing, it's transforming, and the heartbeat of transformation is infrastructure. Infrastructure South Africa presents the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium South Africa 2025, happening from the 25th to the 27th of May at the Century City Convention Centre in Cape Town. This is pioneering event. This pioneering event is aimed at bringing together key stakeholders, experts, and decision makers in the field of infrastructure development. Catch the Clement Manyathela show live from the symposium on Tuesday, the 27th, with Infrastructure South Africa as they showcase infrastructure investment opportunities in both South Africa and the African continent. Don't miss all the highlights, live updates and more, plus a special keynote address from President Cyril Ramaphosa. That's the Clement Manyathela Show, live from the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium South Africa 2025, next Tuesday, brought to you by Infrastructure South Africa on 702.
Honey, what are you doing?
I'm stretching for tonight.
I thought you're not dancing at bachelorette parties anymore.
Baby, we need the money to put Johnny through matric mos.
And what's the police uniform for?
The clients feel safer when I wear it.
No, man, just sell your bucky to We Buy Cars. They give the best prices and they pay you within minutes.
Okay, but can I just go and dance one more time, please? You know how much I love it.
No, the buyer's already on his way here.
Wow, okay.
Strapped for cash? Just sell your vehicle to We Buy Cars. The easiest way to sell your car by far.
Make this Friday unforgettable when you play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 73 million rand in total estimated jackpots. That's right. Play Powerball for an estimated 67 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 6 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Handa, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
The time to honor our past and step into our shared future as team is here. Corporate hospitality and team entries for this year's 702 Walk the Talk now open. Bring your colleagues together on Sunday, 27 July to walk through the historic Freedom Park heritage site, past national landmarks and finish at the Union buildings. To book hospitality, email hospitality@raceoffice.co.za. For corporate entries, visit primemediaplus.com. Entries close Friday, 18 July. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park Heritage Site in the city of Tshwane, where footsteps become footprints.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
702 indeed, and this is across the desk. We are speaking to children of struggle stalwarts who grew up in exile. What was life like that side, and how different was their childhood? Of course, reflecting and looking back. Shailene Kadimeng is Assistant Director at the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements. She is our guest as having grown under those circumstances, and so is Masitjhaba Mposo, journalist and TV presenter, was just reflecting earlier on that there was nothing to compare that life to. At that point, it was all normal. You see soldiers around you, and you speak the local language because you're born in that place. You don't know any better, any different, I should say. And before I continue with my guests, allow me to take your calls on 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send your voice notes to 072-702-1702. It could be that you also grew up in exile. You want to share your stories with us, and you're most welcome to do so. But a caller now, Bra City. Support 6 Mabuse, no stranger to 702 land, to South Africa and Africa at large. Bra City, morning, welcome.
Oh, hi, Chibos. How are you?
I'm free, Brasit. How are you?
I am so grateful that you brought those kids on. You know, those are kids that I grew up with their parents. Masitjhaba, you know, I even thought she's Gananelo. You know,
yes.
Kids. They're all from the same neighborhood.
Yes.
And then those kids are so very special, you know, and I become emotional when I hear this conversation and how she said it. And I would have imagined that all of them have gone through the same way, because even Gananelo and her sister, you know, were in Lesotho,
yes,
went through the same things that Masitjhaba was talking about. Her dad was an amazing boxer. He left this country as a champion.
Really?
We used to call him TNT.
Yeah.
You know, a very fit guy, and so on.
Yeah.
You know, wow, Chabi, thank you so much for bringing me to the fore. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Don't go as yet, Brasiti. They'll fight with me that they didn't say hi to you. Masitjhaba, Shirley, do you want to say hi to Brasi Portsticks?
Absolutely. That's my dad. Like, that's my father. Like, to this day, you know, and I just want to say thank you so much for being such an incredible brother to my dad, and thank you for sharing the story, and thank you for always being there for me, even in my adulthood as well. I love you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Bravo. Thank you so much for your love. I think also Vera, who was married to Johnny Suhwale.
I know. I always say hello, Masakwale. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm so emotional talking to you guys, because I know what you guys went through.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, Brasiti, no, thank you so much. Thanks for the call. And as Mas Chaba was talking about Brabapsi and everything else, and you called, I was just thinking at the back of my mind that we need to have him in studio very soon. You must relate those stories of the studio back at that time and share with our listeners the story of Swabisa Satani with Braka.
Yeah.
And so we must have you in studio one day. But thanks for your call, Brasiti. All the best.
Thank you, Timo. Thank you, my babies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shelley, there we go. I mean, it couldn't have been easy, but as you were there in exile at the time, what did you make of South Africans who came to see you in exile? Did you think those were just normal visits? What did you make of them? Was there longing for you, especially because with Maschaba it's completely different, and she has just explained to us. But with you, you had memories of South Africa. Was there longing of going back home when visitors came to see you that side from home? What went through your mind at the time?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There were memories. I mean, going from being used to my uniform, gym dressing, and having to wear a different kind of uniform, private school that I didn't like, because I had this Soweto mentality, kinagana gore I'm this clever fan Soweto, and Janung, I have to wear this funny dress, the scotch and everything. I didn't like it, but my mom forced me, but no, you have to wear, this is the uniform that you have to wear. And, when we had visitors from South Africa, of course, by then I had learnt a lot because we used to be a group of children from exile called Mapioneer, Masupatsila.
Yes.
And under Masupatsila, we had our teacher, Mr. Mbulelo Musi, may his soul rest in peace. He was an MK operative at that time because we were in the frontline states, remember, at that time. So we had to be politicized as Banaba by ANC to understand why we were there, because there was also PAC. So, our first point of introduction to politics was the Freedom Charter for us to understand why are we there, and why is the ANC, why does the ANC exist? So we had to recite the Freedom Charter, even to people that were coming from South Africa. We used to sit in Nalibana Calvin Johnny. Johnny is my nephew, Calvin Kilasbon. We used to stand and recite, the people shall govern, all national groups shall have equal rights, the doors of learning and culture shall be open, and all that. And we used to, recite everything, even the clause at the end for the people coming from South Africa, because at that time we had realized that our life is in danger. And it's possible that we might not go back to South Africa, because before we got to Swaziland, my father's car was booby trapped. There was a bomb that was placed in his car in the house that we were staying at in Swaziland. It's a famous house called White House. Most of the operatives from the MK operatives used to live in that house in White House. So at night, we used to have sometimes we used to have like emergencies where we are told, today we're not sleeping here. Then we are collected. We have to go into the bush somewhere to go sleep there for a night and come back early morning and prepare for school. So it was an abnormal life.
Yes.
And in the midst of that, there was an incident that happened to us whilst we were at school, Malkens Valley. I was attending school with many other kids. We were staying at Matapa. And I don't know why we were all staying there, because it was dangerous for us to be staying in one place like that. While we were at school, Ntatenya Wose and Menya Wose's car was booby trapped. They didn't know. They got into the car and they got bombed.
Oh no.
It was so painful. That brought so much fear, and we just did it because we were children.
Exactly.
and like wondering, what's going to happen now? Because look at our friends, they are now orphaned.
Exactly.
And they are so young, they're
Exactly.
at primary school.
Otshelly, I'm going to ask you just to hold on 1 second. I have to take the headline news, then we'll come to you, Maschaba, as well, because I do have a ton of questions for you, especially growing up and looking back into where you were, remembering Zambia, now that you're in South Africa. We'll touch on that. But first, it's just after 10:30. Sfiso Zulu ready to give us the eyewitness news headlines. Slightly behind time. Apologies, Sfiso. What's the latest?
Thanks, Thabo. Good morning. We begin with news just in. About 300 miners are reportedly trapped underground at Sibanya Stillwater's Kloof mine in the west of Johannesburg. The National Union of Mine Workers says they've been stuck since yesterday after an object fell in the shaft. The union says the miners have no access to water and food, and it is concerned about their safety. 4 people, including 3 children, have died in a crash in Worcester in the Western Cape. It's understood that a taxi they were travelling in from the Eastern Cape collided with a truck this morning. And Iranian and US negotiators will meet in Rome today for a 5th round of nuclear talks after a public disagreement over Tehran's uranium enrichment. The talks, which began in April, are the highest level contact between the foes since the US quit a landmark 2015 nuclear accord during President Donald Trump's first term. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're in the Midrand area heading towards Sandton, there's about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N1 southbound between New Road and the Butlu interchange. Otherwise, the rest of Gauteng not looking too bad. No serious accidents have been reported, but I see there's some slight delays. That's in the Houghton area, traveling towards the Joburg CBD M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and Empire Road. Also, slow-moving traffic in the Alex area, traveling towards Midrand. This is on the N3 northbound between Linksfield Road and Morafontein Road. Also, further down the N3's slow-moving traffic, N3 northbound, approaching the Geldenays interchange. And if you're heading into the Joburg CBD, there seems to be an accident scene on the M2 westbound, approaching the Crown interchange, causing some delays all the way from Joe Slovo Drive. If you come across any other further traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The best thing about Decofern furniture is that it isn't just furniture. A table isn't just a table. It's Mom's cooking. A bed's more than a bed.
She's asleep.
It's where we keep our dreams. Even a couch can hold the biggest victories. Make more amazing memories with Decofern Furniture's best for less deals on top selling items. In store now or online at decofurnsa.co.za.
Hi, I'm Dion Free. Winning requires audacity. That's why I joined African Bank and opened a 60-month fixed-term investment account. I'm scoring 12.8% interest at expiry on my investment. How cool is that? You too can join the bank that backs you to grow your money. Pop into a branch near you or visit africanbank.co.za. African Bank. Audacity to believe. African Bank is a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Daydreaming about that next holiday? Stop dreaming. Flight Centre's Big Red Sale is back, bringing you the hottest deals. Save up to 50% off selected cruise and tour deals, 65% off stays, 55% off holiday packages, and save even more with our Bundle Plus Save offering. Hurry, sale ends 31 May. Visit flightcenter.co.za or your nearest Flight Centre store. T's and C's apply. Flight Centre, your center for travel.
The future of African infrastructure is being built now. Infrastructure South Africa presents the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium South Africa 2025 from 25 to 27 May at the Century City Convention Center in Cape Town. Catch the Clement Manyathela Show
live from the symposium on Tuesday with Infrastructure South Africa as they showcase infrastructure investment opportunities in both SA and the African continent. Don't miss all the highlights, live updates and more. That's the Clement Manyathela Show, live from the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium South Africa 2025 on Tuesday, brought to you by Infrastructure South Africa on 702.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
24 minutes to 11 o'clock. You are on Across the Desk. Thabo in for Clement. We're together till 12. And we're chatting to Maschaba Mposo, journalist and TV presenter, Shelling Kadimeng, assistant director at Gauteng Department of Human Settlements. We are looking at children of stalwarts on Across the Desk. People who grew up in exile. Maschaba, let's come to you. I know you're going to leave us in a short while, but let me try to squeeze as much out of you as possible, if you will. And I was just wondering, now that you were in South Africa, did you have nostalgic moments of back at Zambia? And did you think of exile? Well, how did your life change? And I'm just wondering, being politicized at that young age, you come to South Africa now, do you have a different view of the country, your mind, and does your mind understand the political dynamics in the new home, which is your real home, by the way?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out where was my real home. But, my identity and my concept of South Africa was really shaped more in the United States. So after I was smuggled into Soweto on that dangerous mission with the fake passport, my parents, my mother particularly, came to come and get me because at the time they had received a bursary to go and study in California, in the United States. So under the age of 10, I was taken from South Africa, went and stayed in America, and I spent my formative years living in California and then a brief short while in Alabama, but mostly in Oakland. And my mother went to San Francisco State University and on all these other institutions. And so while I was there, parents, we had a relatively normal, it was a much more normal life than what I had in Lusaka. Because I was soldiers and all these other very interesting surroundings. We were living in a normal residence, and I went to a school that was just a walking distance away. But the reason why I say I became a South African from the United States is because at that point I was getting older and understanding that I am a foreign national living outside of my home. My parents spoke endlessly about South Africa. They told me why we were here. They explained the struggle. They explained the political landscape. In fact, I was so highly politicized that I was not allowed to play with dolls because there were no black dolls at the time. So I thought my parents were so harsh because all my other friends had dolls and I had to read books. I was forced to read books, but I became a lover of books. I became a bookworm, which I'm grateful for now because it shaped the woman that I am today. And also, when I walked into the house, we lived in an apartment building. When I walked into that flat, my father would say to me, Mona, hasemo America, Mona. This is my house. In this house, was a sword. So I was allowed to speak English in the house. And I think that was my saving grace because then I developed a sense of pride in my language, in my heritage, in our culture. You know, even though we were living in the middle of the United States of America, but in my home, I was an African child, raised with African prints, you know. So by the time I came back home, I couldn't wait to come home, you know, because they painted South Africa to be this beautiful place where people love one another, respect one another, we fight for each other, you know. I knew who I was before I came here. And so it's interesting because when I came to South Africa, I find that people who grew up in South Africa, I have associates that don't speak one African languages, even though so I think it made me a very conscious parent to say, Hore, even now, you know, we raise our kids, making sure Hore, they speak our languages, making sure Hore, they respect our culture. And we are fighting a system that does not support African language. And that's another conversation for another day. But that's how I was shaped from the outside inwards before I even came to South Africa. When I returned, I was well established in my cultural systems.
So I know you have to leave, but there's a quick question for you before you say goodbye to us. And we'll continue with Shirley Nkadimeng in a short while. 072 702 1702.
Hi, 702. Hi, Tabo. Oh, this is a wonderful, wonderful topic. I am a child of the struggle. My dad was in exile, Angola, Lusaka, Tanzania, Russia, everywhere. He was everywhere. Unfortunately, he's late now, but I feel like I had a wonderful childhood. And I think it has shaped me to become the person I am. I think witnessing as a child the ANC of that time, I get very disappointed when I see what is being done now, because the principles that were instilled in people, in us, in me as a child, honesty, integrity, I think we lived that for a very long time. And it is disappointing to see that all of that has just been thrown out the window.
Yeah.
It was an amazing childhood that I had. I remember coming back to South Africa in 1991. It was a different world. But, a sense of, yes, we're home and this is who we are, having to adjust language, a whole lot of things. I think a book needs to be written. Someone needs to write a book to just explain those experiences.
And Maschaba, you're going to write that book as well about adjusting when I about adjusting and being reintegrated, so to speak. Before you go, Maschaba?
I've actually started writing a book series for children called Kawelam, to tell the stories of our military veterans and our unsung heroes and heroines. So our children can stop looking up to Superman and Spider-Man. We've got our own real life superheroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Paula, for telling it like it is. That's the truth. That's the reality of where we are currently. And I do definitely feel that we have a responsibility to take that baton forward. Our struggle looks very different from the struggles of our parents. But it would be good, Hore, because we suckle from their wisdom, that their fight, their sacrifices would not be in vain, And we need to go back to the saying, ask what the government can do for us, ask what we can do for the government. And we must go back to the concept of power to the people, and the people shall govern.
Certainly. Maschaba, it's been fantastic talking to you, and I'm hoping that we'll extend this chat again in the near future. Thanks for making time. Really appreciate it, and all the best to you.
Before you let me go,
yeah.
I would just love to, because I know, and I hope my mother's listening. She was on her way to One Mill Hospital, where she goes for her treatment. So I just want to say I love Makumalo, and thank you so much for your sacrifices. My mother is an incredible woman who overcame so much, still the principles that she has in me. And I love her, and I'm forever indebted to her. I love you, Mama.
Lovely stuff, and we're sending our love as well. And Shirley, when we come back, I really want us to touch on the theme on which Maschaba departs this platform. How do you look at your parents now? I would like you to reflect on that. Do you see them as well in the same eyes that the rest of South Africa sees them? Or is it just dead? I mean, also, their past is not so easy, especially with your parents. There were issues of Flag Plus and all those matters. Do you look back and you think, I wish they had just looked away and my childhood would have been better. But I want you to respond to that just after this. It's 15 minutes to 11 o'clock.
Hey, remember when our office turned into an indoor swimming pool from the flood incident we had? Oh yeah, feels like it was just yesterday. Luckily, we are with My Way Business Insurance and they kept us afloat despite the soaked carpets. Talk about an insurer that's got your back no matter the situation. Agreed. With My Way, we can weather any storm with the ultimate confidence.
Cover your building and office contents hassle-free with MyWay Business Insurance. Visit myway.co.za for a quote and do business your way. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct to give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
What does extraordinary mean to you?
Is it enabling world-class healthcare through telemedicine?
Or empowering the delivery of water and electricity through smart meters?
AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT and security. One seamless ecosystem. Together, let's build the extraordinary that sustains today and protects tomorrow. Start your journey at vodacombusiness.co.za. Further together, Vodacom Business.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
13 to 11, you're on 702. Keep those voice notes coming through to 0727021702. We're speaking to children of struggle stalwarts, and now we are with Oates Shirley Nkadimeng, and she'll share. But before that, I've been neglecting to play some voice notes. Abel, let's go straight to it on 0727021702.
Morning, Tato here. I'm also free. Riveting radio, my kind of radio, storytelling, history, documenting our history. It's incredible. I want to find out from Shelley, how is she related to the late Vernon Nkadimeng? Vernon was my neighbor. He lived one house away from, in fact, he lived in a block of flats, a house away from my parents' place, and 4 houses from our school. The winter of 1985, I was in grade 7, a car bomb ripped through Vernon's car as he started it. And it shook our entire neighborhood. We were kids, like we were 11, 12. We had no idea. We just thought he's like a cool dude, because most of the exile dudes were actually dapper dudes. We had no idea he was in exile, or let alone being wanted by Maburu, or that they'd assassinate him in a car bomb explosion. But yeah, one of the many stories I feel ought to be told.
Fantastic, Tato. Really fantastic. Australia, I don't even want to dilute that question with my additions. It's your turn.
Thank you, Tabo. And to Tato, yes, Vernon Mahudu Nkadimeng is my brother, blood brother. Indeed, he passed away in 1985, yeah, in Botswana. I was in Tanzania at that time as a student at Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College. That experience ripped my heart apart. Up to this point, it's very, very difficult for our family to have closure on that issue, because we took it to the Truth Commission and we still did not get the truth of what happened to our brother Bena.
I'm sorry about
But we'll always remember that he had given his life for the freedom of this country. So we appreciate that part from him. But it was so painful. It was really painful at that time as a family. We were living in different places. I had long left Swaziland. I was now at the high school in Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College. My parents, John Nkadimeng, Evelyn, my mom, my younger brother and my nephew were in Lusaka. My elder sister, Veronica, David, where Veronica was in Lusaka, David was still in Angola, I think at that time. And my other sister was in Cuba. So we were all at different places when it happened. This is just how difficult and how painful, the road to freedom has been, because a lot of people laid their lives for this freedom that we enjoy today. Walking at the CBD on Commissioner Street, feeling free, not being worried that you'll be asked about a DOM pass. A lot of people died for this freedom. So that is the painful part of the price that was paid for our freedom.
Yes.
Earlier on, you mentioned about parents. My father gave himself, to the revolution, to the struggle. He was a member of the African National Congress National Executive Committee. He was a trade unionist in the South African Congress of Trade Union, which was the trade union then in exile, which was collaborating with UDF in South Africa and the workers in South Africa. He was also a member of the Communist Party. My dad's life was, our life was so, we never really spent time with him because my dad had told himself that, as a struggle veteran and operative of Umkhonto as well, he's not just Papa Waruna, he's Papa to all the children that were there in exile. That's why up to today, when everyone talks about Ntate Nkadime, they call him Papa. Not just to use the word Papa, but because he was a father to everyone. To the point when, when I was at Somafco at our college, he would come to visit. But he would, because I'd expect something from my mom from Lusaka, because our school was in Morogoro, in Tanzania, Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College. Expecting to bring me some nice things as Ntatwaka, but he would say, Manaka, if I have to bring you something, I'll have to bring all the kids. Badulangu. As Maschaba said, because we were being sponsored by the Nordic countries, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, so we had Umpando, very nice clothes that they used to send to us. They also send us food. So we had food, and our school was a project that was built by one of our architects, Tanya's dad, who was with us in Tanzania at that time. So it was a well-rounded project. It had a college, it had a farm, it had a library, and then it had a crash facility that was called Charlotte Matleke school. At Solomon Mahlangu, that's where it really hit us, because there's a video actually that was taken when Comrade Chris Hani came to visit us at the college, and he gave us some mkhabulo, because a lot of people that were coming then to Solomon Mahlangu from the country were very young, some of them at the age of 13, 14, 15, and they wanted to go to Angola. And then Comrade Chris Hani came particularly to say, you know what, as a liberation movement, we are not only going to take the country with the gun, we need to also empower ourselves. We need to educate ourselves. We need to prepare ourselves on all fronts. We must be educated as much as we also get trained.
Yes.
So he was motivating us to, to start taking education, as an important part of the armed struggle.
Yes.
To liberate South Africa.
Yes.
And we also had Comrade O.R. Tambo, our president then, who would also come and visit. I remember I was in the choir at that time at the college, and he used to he likes conducting. He loved music. So we would sing, and he would be the conductor of our choir to motivate us. Because you could easily think this is our life forever. We're going to die here.
Yes.
Because if you look at apartheid as a system, you don't think it was difficult, because we couldn't even think we would be free. And I would be standing here being interviewed by T-Bows on 702. At that time, it was just not in our dreams.
Yes.
Hence, a lot of people felt, no, let us all go and be trained so that we can go back. Because young people were on fire. They were saying, no, people are dying in South Africa.
Yes.
We need to fight. But Comrade Krikani said, no. It today. And then indeed, we did. Most people studied. And when they finished, some of them would go then to Angola to train. And then after that would get scholarships. I also got a scholarship after I completed
Yeah.
Oh,
Shirley, I don't want to interrupt you. I want us, I wish we had additional 2 hours because I could speak to you forever. We only have I think about 2 minutes left. I want you to listen to this voice note and then I'll come back and get your reaction there too.
Hi, Tabo. Hi, 702. My name is Koli. I'm Shelly's neighbor, her home. Tabo, what I want to say is about the children that were born in exile or the children that came from exile who were smuggled in and out of the country, that kind of life. I'm an aunt to a nephew who was born in exile. And I can tell you, we are a scarred nation, we are a traumatized nation. You see it in those kids. Many of them are struggling as adults, some of them are now in their 40s. We are struggling as a society because of the scars of the life that was imposed upon us by the apartheid government. So I want to add to that it's not easy. It's not easy out here for those kids and their families and all of us, and all of us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Sistoli. Before you respond, Shelley, let me read this text message. It says, I feel the lady's pain 100%. I lost 2 cousins to the apartheid regime in the 1980s. One was in the house bombed by SADF in Lesotho. The other's body was found floating in the Orange River. I never got to know them, and this has left me with anger and pain. Their mother also went to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in vain. We've got a minute, Shelley. In conclusion, any thoughts?
In conclusion, I just want to say shout out to Astoli, our neighbor, for that wonderful message. Indeed, it is very, very true. As exiles coming back into South Africa, life has been very, very difficult because some of the people came back at a very advanced age. And imagine having to become a DG and earn a salary at the age of 50. And you've never worked before and earned a salary. Imagine what it does to you having all the resources around you and never having gone through proper, financial literacy.
Yes.
And coping with those kind of things. So there is quite a lot of mental health issues.
Sure.
That affect most exiles because we've been socialized differently.
Yes.
For instance, I grew up in Soweto. I left at a young age. I can't go back there and make friends.
No.
My life, incidentally, the other day, I was telling my niece, I was chatting to her, I said, now I don't have a bosom friend.
Yeah.
Because I left Soweto at the age of 12.
Yes.
And then went to Swaziland and I lived up to grade 8 and I left, I went to Lusaka, Kablonga Girls. And after Kablonga, I went to Somafco. So in those pockets of my life, I lived briefly here, there, and all over the place. I don't have a friend that I can say he started at crash. That this one can tell my story.
Certainly. Shelley, I'm so sorry. I have to leave it at that. I'm going to invite you once again so that we can reflect thoroughly on these stories. Thanks for sharing and being vulnerable with us. Thanks for being so sincere with us.
To the Shopper family.
Yeah. Go ahead quickly for the Shopper family.
Yeah, okay. I'd just like to send my deepest condolences to Mbogoto, Mama Shope, and her family.
Amen.
May her soul rest in peace.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Shelly Kadimeng, who is an assistant director at the Gauteng Department of Settlements. We were talking about children of stalwarts who grew up in exile.
It's that time of the year. Sore throats, congestion, wet and dry coughs, pain and fever. For trusted relief for you and your family, ask your pharmacist to recommend a winter survival pack from the Adcock Ingram OTC range. With products like Medikil A, Expigen, Corenza Parac, Adconapamol, Dilinct Junior and more, we have you covered this winter. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Struggling with the stairs at home? Let Lifter SA lift you up. Lifter's home lifts are sleek, European designed and fit into almost any home. No lift shaft, no major construction. All you need is a standard 220-volt plug installed in just 2 days. It's the perfect upgrade for your home or a smart addition to your new build. Why move when you can improve? Visit lifter.co.za or call 080-7373-737 for your free, no obligation assessment. Take your home to the next level with Lifter SA.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. It's the developing story this hour. About 300 miners are reportedly trapped underground at Sibanye Stillwater's Kloof mine in Western area. The National Union of Mine Workers says they've been stuck underground since yesterday after an object fell in the shaft. The union says it is concerned about the miners' safety as they don't have access to food and water. It's understood that an official from the Mineral Resources Department is on the scene for a rescue operation. NUM spokesperson Libuwani Mamburu.
The incident started yesterday, but we are told that it's an engineering problem. It looks like something fell on the shaft. But we're still gathering information and also to try to get the preliminary report.
Police Minister Senzo Mchunu says claims of a white genocide in South Africa are false and unfounded. The minister has been speaking in Pretoria this morning, where he's giving the fourth quarter crime statistics. Before starting his presentation, Mchunu addressed the claims made by US President Donald Trump about a false narrative of a white genocide in the country. His comments come days after President Cyril Ramaphosa and a delegation visited Trump in Washington for a meeting meant to soothe tensions between the two countries. Mchunu says Trump's claims are not supported by any evidence.
Now we have respect for the United States of America as a country. We have respect for the people of the United States, and we have respect for the President of the United States, President Donald Trump. But we have no respect for his genocide story whatsoever. It is totally unfounded and totally unsubstantiated.
In the Western Cape, 4 people, including 3 children, have died in a crash in Worcester. It's understood that a taxi they were travelling in from the Eastern Cape collided with a truck this morning. The police's Wesley Twigg says a case of culpable homicide is being investigated.
3 children aged between 6 months and 2 years and an adult female were declared deceased on the scene by medical personnel. The injured passengers, including the driver of the minibus taxi, were taken to nearby hospitals for medical treatment. The circumstances surrounding this fatal crash is subject of an investigation by the South African Police Service, and no arrests have been made yet.
3 men linked to the murder of Mangosuthu University of Technology lecturer Shanlal Dwarika have been sentenced to life imprisonment and 20 years. The group, which worked on renovating Dwarika's lakeside home, kidnapped him exactly a year ago. They forced him to give up his bank cards before killing him and dumping his body in a bush. NPA KZN spokesperson Natasha Ramkinson-Kara.
Mhlongo and Makayo were sentenced to 5 years imprisonment each for kidnapping, 15 years imprisonment each for robbery with aggravating circumstances, and life imprisonment each for murder. They will serve an effective term of life imprisonment. Mahaye was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for kidnapping and 15 years imprisonment for the robbery with aggravating circumstances. The court ordered that the sentences run consecutively. We hope that this term sentences run consecutively, resulting in the effective sentence of 20 years imprisonment.
And Iranian as well as US negotiators will meet in Rome today for a 5th round of nuclear talks after a public disagreement over Tehran's uranium enrichment. The talks, which began in April, are the highest level contact between the foes since the US quit a landmark 2015 nuclear accord during President Donald Trump's first term in office. Since returning to office, Trump has revived his maximum pressure campaign on Iran, backing talks but warning of military action if diplomacy fails. Iran wants a new deal that would ease sanctions which have battered its economy. The last round of talks in the Omani capital, Muscat, ended with a public spat over enrichment. Gold is trading at $3,326.42 an ounce. The rand is at 17.89 to the dollar, 24.13 to the pound, 20.29 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.93 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if in the Midrand area, we still have slow-moving traffic on the N1 southbound. That's between the Butlu Interchange and New Road. Also traveling through Alex, heading towards Midrand. There's slow-moving traffic in the Edenvale area on the N3 northbound between Van Buren and Modderfontein Road. And also, if you're traveling into the Joburg CBD, traffic is a bit sluggish on the M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. That's due to an earlier accident.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 19 and 21 degrees. The developing story in EWN this hour, about 300 miners are reportedly trapped underground at Sibanye Stillwater's Kloof mine in Western area.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Walk through history, walk with it. Sunday, 27 July, 7:02 Walk the Talk. Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. More on primemediaplus.com.
7:02
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Eight after 11, you're on 702. Thanks for sticking with us. Really appreciate it. Thabo in for Clement. We're together till 12. Great having you with us on a Friday. Very eventful week. It has been, hasn't it? Internationally and otherwise. The budget, the US and everything else. But on a Friday between 11 and 12, we take it easy. Not easy. It's politics of life, I suppose. Relationship focus. Today we are looking at the role of forgiveness. But before that, I just wanted to thank you for so many amazing messages in the past hour. We were looking at the children of stalwarts who grew up in exile, the difficulties that they faced, unstable childhood memories, and now having to grapple with the ghosts of the past in the new South Africa. We spoke to Oshelin Kadimeng, Maschaba Mposo as well, and we had very interesting feedback from you. For that, we are grateful, and we will keep the conversations going. For now, it continues to be difficult. Forgiveness, not a very easy subject to touch on, is it? And we know that it's often seen as a noble act when you can forgive. And people would say that it's a gesture of maturity. Now you are smarter. And it somehow paves the way for healing. Forgiving yourself and forgiving the perpetrator in this instance. In relationships, things can be a bit hectic, especially romantic relationships. Familial, platonic relationships as well. The role of forgiveness cannot be overstated. However, forgiveness is not a simple one-size-fits-all remedy. It exists at the intersection of emotion, accountability. A lot of people find it very difficult to say that I'm sorry. And personal values and understanding when and how to forgive can make all the difference between growth and stagnation. My guest on Relationship Focus, the role of forgiveness, 10 minutes after 11.
Relationship issues.
Relationship talk.
On 702.
She's like a co-host now. Lee Joy, dating coach. She joins us right now. Lee, always fantastic chatting to you. Are you
so
good?
Lovely to see you. I am buzzing. I went last night to watch Inala at the Mandela Theatre.
Yeah, how was it?
I am so proudly South African.
Yeah.
It had me in tears. I had been jigging in my seat. It was phenomenal. I really I think they've actually extended an extra night tonight.
Really?
They were sold out.
Really?
So maybe their tickets left over. I highly recommend. And Braamfontein is so clean.
And I mean, haven't you been there in a while?
I haven't been there in decades. I'm not giving away my age now.
Promise. Yeah, I was in Market Theatre last week, and Jeremy Fukeng had a lovely production there. I also loved it to bits, and I often go alone whenever I see a theatre production, because whenever I go with people, I think they're not going to get it. And I just want to absorb every little thing of it. Isn't it refreshing to see a production on stage?
And I was sitting there and thinking, like, being on watching them on Broadway, and how the world must embrace them, because emotion goes beyond words, beyond understanding of words.
Yeah.
And I felt like there's one song, and I wish I knew what the lady's name was that was singing it. I was in tears.
Really?
It was just the power of her voice, and obviously the whole cast, and the crew, just incredible.
Yeah.
But to captivate us, one outfit for the whole production.
Really?
So no change in outfits.
Yeah.
Intensity, the power of their voices, the strength of their dancing. It was just
You loved it. So we will do a theatre review show some other day. We'll put time aside for a theatre review show. And for now, a different kind of emotion, forgiveness, especially in a relationship. Lee, you're a dating coach. This must be central to everything else, because couples fight almost every single day, if not every hour. And there are issues that we go on a collision course with as couples. We clash on the dishes, the socks being here, and there are two far bigger things, infidelity and other things. What is forgiveness, and what's the role? And I'm asking genuinely, because I think we see it differently. What is forgiveness in a relationship, and what is the role of forgiveness in a relationship?
Yeah, I think this is just to dial it down into a very tender space, right? And
Yeah.
forgiveness is it touches on the very nerve of who we are, and our core woundings usually get triggered when somebody has done, let's say for argument's sake, somebody has lied to us, right? Our partner has lied to us. Excuse me. And we go and if we don't understand where the pain is actually coming from, we're not actually able to forgive. So I've done some really powerful work in this space, that our core woundings are created in childhood, either through abandonment, rejection, abuse, humiliation, or rejection, and at least betrayal. And from those core woundings, there are lies that we believe about ourselves. So if I may use myself as an example, I was given up for adoption, and the lie that I believed about myself is that I was unwanted.
Yeah.
And loved and unseen, right? So whenever anybody did something against me, I took it very personally. Read the book by Don Miguel Royce called The Four Agreements, and he talks about how important it's not that we shouldn't take things personally. But I think that when we do take things personally, it's a signpost of a lie that we're believing about ourselves. So let's say, for argument's sake, somebody lies to me about something. My partner lies to me about something. And I then believe, well, I'm not wanted because he feels like he needs to lie to me.
Yes.
Whereas if I'm like, actually, him lying to me has got nothing to do with me.
Most of the time.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I need to forgive him, because he's doing it to himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a very banal example, very basic example. If we're talking now about the bigger things of infidelity and stuff, it also flies into that space. Or if my partner cheats on me, that means I'm unwanted, unloved, and unseen.
Yeah.
And if we go into the space, well, okay, thank you for showing me parts of me that I don't want, I don't love, I don't see. Because that's where we can unfurl or unhook or de-weed those lies within ourselves. So when people do things to us that hurt us, where we feel like we can't forgive them, I often, even in my own life, and it's not easy, but I first go and look at what has actually happened
Yes.
What is triggered inside me, lies that are not true about those core woundings. And I do very powerful work with my clients in understanding those core woundings, because they're like, geez, the billboards of our lives, right? And they really show us in any situation when we've been triggered or offended, what lies unhealed within us. So now I look at it, if somebody does something that offends or upsets me, as an opportunity to heal myself.
Yeah.
So let's say, for argument's sake, somebody cheats on me. There's a journey, and I've experienced that. There's a journey that I went through in understanding that there may have been conditions that I contributed to within the relationship that person felt that they needed to cheat.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because I'm unwanted, unloved, or unseen.
Yes. And on that note of forgiveness, does forgiveness mean I should not defer to this situation again if I have forgiven you? In your example, you could have lied to me, you could have cheated on me, or you could have hurt me in any other way. Me demonstrating my forgiveness, does it mean that I am not going to revisit this situation again of hurt, that place, that scene, that crime scene, and I'm giving air quotes here, does it mean that I won't refer to it again if I've genuinely forgiven you?
Yeah, I think that's often what people struggle with, right? Is if I forgive you, that means that I am okay with what you did. And if I forgive you, I'm giving you the opportunity to hurt me again. And I believe that forgiveness isn't giving permission in those two situations. If I forgive you because you've cheated on me, I don't have to stay in the relationship, but in leaving the relationship, I don't have to remain angry with you. I don't have to remain bitter, because I then keep myself tethered to you, even though I'm not in relationship with you. Or I may forgive my partner for cheating on me and stay in the relationship, but then I equally need to let it go so that I don't stay tethered to that which hurts us.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is such there's a beautiful book written by the late Archbishop
Yeah.
and Mpo, his daughter.
Yeah.
Is it called The Book of Forgiveness or Forgiveness?
I know the book. She's now a bishop, isn't she? Yeah.
Is she a bishop?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Wow, what a beautiful book.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole process that they take you through, and quite a thin book. And it was there. I grew up in a really tricky household when I was young and adopted, and there were these deep feelings of shame of who I was because of how I was treated. And in that book, they speak about sometimes we have to forgive 1,000 times before we can. I mean, the Bible talks about it 7 times 77, right?
Yeah.
Because the hurt feels so big. And sometimes we just got to forgive and let go and forgive and let go until that.
So forgive one thing many times before it eventually dissipates or you are okay with it. Lee, I want us to come back to that, but I truly have to take a break. It's 19 minutes after 11 o'clock. You may want to participate in this discussion, share your thoughts, your encounters, your experiences. You are most welcome to do so on 011-883-0702, or you could just send a voice note to 072-702-1702.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
Elon Musk and his bid to get Starlink licensed and operating in South Africa has been part of the conversation. He has a massive business empire, and yet this seems to matter to him. Is it commercial or is it personal?
It certainly seems to be personal when it comes to Julius Malema. We know that he has tweeted on many occasions in the past about Mr. Malema and his Kill the Boer singing of the Kill the Boer song and other incendiary remarks that he's made. Musk has frequently retweeted.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Sunday, 15 June at Narok Sculpture Park in the Cradle of Humankind is a place to celebrate our fathers. Fathers, grandfathers, stepfathers, father figures, fathers past and fathers to be. Along with the day's entertainment, Epicurean Emporium offers a diverse range of exceptional culinary fare, courtesy of some of the finest food and dessert traders, while Benny's Bar will ensure guests are elegantly hydrated with an array of bubbles, wines and cocktails during this mid-winter celebration. Limited tickets are available from nyroxarts.com. Nyrox is a private not-for-profit foundation to benefit the arts. All income is used to maintain the grounds, the artist residency program and artist support.
Do you have the pace to ace the race? The 3 million rand race. It's the one and only Spinner Zonke jackpot race, and it's exclusive to Hollywood Bets. Feel the heat from the hottest slots as you seek to spin your way to fabulous fortunes and precious prizes. A thrilling 3 million rand is up for grabs every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday when you hunt for hidden treasures and spin for big wins. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Whether you own a startup in Sandton or a spaza shop in Soweto, Standard Bank has the solutions to grow your business. For just 9 Rand per month, our MyMoBiz business account gives you access to free online banking and a team of business experts. Our Simply Blue Pro card machine enables you to accept payments anytime, anywhere. Search Standard Bank MyMoBiz and Simply Blue to amplify the growth of your business today. Standard Bank is an authorized FSB and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The future of African infrastructure is being built now. Infrastructure South Africa presents the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium South Africa 2025 from 25 to 27 May at the Century City Convention Center in Cape Town. Catch the Clement Manyathela Show live from the symposium on Tuesday with Infrastructure South Africa as they showcase infrastructure investment opportunities in both SA and the African continent. Don't miss all the highlights, live updates and more. That's the Clement Manyathela Show live from the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium South Africa 2025 on Tuesday, brought to you by Infrastructure South Africa on 702.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk
On 702.
23 minutes after 11 o'clock. Welcome if you've just joined us. We are speaking to Lee Joy, dating coach. The importance of forgiveness in a relationship. All of us have been hurt and we've hurt others as well, especially in a relationship. How do you deal with it? How do you get over it? Some people hold on to this burning coin in their palms for eons. Ages and ages, you are angry and you don't talk to the next person, and that's valid, right? Because that's perhaps how you feel at the time. But what's the role of forgiveness in the relationship? Does forgiveness mean that you stay after you've been hurt? I don't know. You share with us. Have you forgiven someone and you thought this was completely unforgivable, but in a relationship you decided to forgive them? Lee Joy is my guest, and she's joining us right now. She's a dating coach, and we are speaking about forgiveness in a relationship. Lee, welcome back. I am just thinking about the role of forgiveness in a relationship, in a sense that some people are very proud to hold on to the hurt. They see that as some strength, as a positive quality to assert their dissatisfaction on an issue. And they feel that it has to be expressed until they are okay. Is there a time limit on which we could say it's enough, let go? It's truly enough. You've expressed your dissatisfaction. You have registered your pain and how you felt it. But now enough is enough, let go. Is there a time frame that we can use along those lines?
I think that I've got a frog in my throat and it's so annoying. So I know was nightmares is going on radio, swearing and having a frog in your throat. Excuse me.
No worries.
Brene Brown speaks very powerfully about 3 reasons why people fight. One is care and connection. One is respect, value and respect, and the other is control and power. And I think you speaking here about time frame. I think that in the work that I've done in my own life and with my clients, I've realized that only when we come to the nub of what's actually upsetting the person, let's say for argument's sake, somebody doesn't close the doors. I mean, she uses the example of the cupboard doors that don't close.
Yeah.
And I think we're only able to forgive the other when they get that it's not about the cupboard doors. It's about that you making me feel like you don't care about me and my connection to you isn't important.
Yeah.
So as soon as the other gets that, the other gets like, oh, okay, so it's not actually the cupboard doors that irritate you. It's that when you were a child, you had to do everything on your own. And when I leave the cupboard doors open, it makes you feel like you're having to do everything on your own. And if you can come to the place of like, well, me leaving the cupboard doors I'm not sitting there going, I don't care about you and I don't want to be connected to you.
Yes.
I'm just absent-minded. I just in the rush to get to work.
Yes.
And I hear what you're saying and I'm going to work on it. So that time frame can only really work once there's understanding. When I say that, although, Thabo, there's another beautiful meme is that sometimes we're going to have to accept the forgiveness, the apology that we're never going to get. We have to give ourselves that apology because to set ourselves free, right?
Yeah.
So to what degree do we share intelligently and lovingly and compassionately towards ourselves and the other, the nub of what's upset us, so that there is connection and care and respect and value and power and control, so that we can both grow from it and we can both get closer because of it. I never understood this. I always thought that, because I'm a chronic people pleaser, I thought that conflict separated people. But only did I realize that the way that I was fighting separated me. And that I think we've done. I think I did with Clement the fight languages and how we how if we can intelligently and kindly fight with each other, we can actually create intimacy. We can create connection and intimacy.
Yeah.
And that the overcoming conflict, building those bridges and building those foundations of moving through conflict actually builds a fantastic foundation in a relationship.
Sure.
So we mustn't be scared of conflict. We mustn't be scared of places to forgive. They're actually opportunities for us to build stronger relations.
You know, Desmond Tutu's book, There's No Future Without Forgiveness, that's the book that he wrote just after his experience at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. He mentions something very consistent with what you are saying now on forgiveness. He says, does the victim need the contrition of the perpetrator to forgive them? And he answers himself. He says, no, because some people will never ask for forgiveness, but you need to forgive them in order for you to be okay.
To move on.
After the news headlines with Mbali now, I would like to ask you, are there strictest unforgivables in a relationship? It's exactly 11:30. Bali Dlamini is standing in for Eyewitness News headlines. Welcome, Bali. What's the very latest? Good morning to you.
Thanks, Thabo. A very good morning. Well, around 300 miners are understood to be trapped underground at the Sibanye Stillwater's Kloof mine in Western area today. The National Union of Mine Workers says the miners have been stuck underground since yesterday after an object fell into the shaft. The union says it is concerned about the miners' safety as they do not have access to food and water. Charges against former Cape Town MMC for Human Settlements, Malusi Boy, and 10 others have been withdrawn. They were part of more than 30 accused linked to the billion-rand tender fraud in the city's Human Settlements Directorate during Boy's tenure. Boy, who has always maintained his innocence, has told reporters that he is relieved to be free of this case. And Police Minister Senzo Mchunu says claims of a white genocide in South Africa are false and unfounded. The minister has been speaking in Pretoria today, where he is giving the fourth quarter crime statistics. Before starting his presentation, Mchunu addressed the claims made by US President Donald Trump about a false narrative of a white genocide in the country. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Karo, with the latest on the roads?
Well, at this stage, Mr. T, there's slow-moving traffic. If you're leaving Brakpan heading towards Benoni, there's slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. Also, if you're in the Houghton area traveling towards the Joburg CBD, you can expect some delays. M1 southbound between Killarney Bairns and Empire Road. Also still in the Joburg CBD, slow-moving traffic on the M2 westbound. That's between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. Otherwise, no serious accidents have been reported at this hour. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck. Traffic lights still not working. And Alex at Marlborough and Far East Bank. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey Jim, what's wrong? Hi Bob, I'm just so confused. I'm trying to buy a car and I don't know where to stop.
Well, have you tried to...
Cars.co.za. Have you tried to... Sorry, we're trying to do an advert.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.co.za and let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za.
Make this Friday unforgettable when you play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 73 million rand in total estimated jackpots. That's right. Play Powerball for an estimated 67 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 6 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
In business, a rand saved is a rand earned. And almost 100,000 businesses trust OUTsurance.
We in the eye care industry, we're saving over 1,200 rand a month. To all the business owners, you've got nothing to lose by giving OUTsurance a chance to quote on your business insurance. It's true to say that you always get something out with OUTsurance.
For your business insurance, contact OUTsurance to see how much your business could save. SMS quote to 43503 for immediate cover or visit outsurance.co.za today. A licensed insurer FSP. T's and C's online.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age, or now also in a no water needed fruity flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk
On 702.
26 to 12, and at 12 it would be midday report with Mendy Winner. For now, we continue with the discussion and on relationship focus every Friday between 11 and 12. We look at various elements that affect relationships. Today, special focus is on the role of forgiveness in a relationship. Lee Joy is my guest. She's a dating coach. My name is Thabo. I'm in for Clement. We're together till 12. Prior to the Eyewitness News, Lee, I asked, are there unforgivables in a relationship? Are there things that we shouldn't, we mustn't, and perhaps we can't forgive?
So let's go into the more triggering conversations. So those on air, just be gentle with yourselves when you're hearing this. But if we're looking at abuse, right, we're looking at rape or physical abuse or emotional abuse, there's a psychic, emotional, energetic tie that is created between the victim and the perpetrator. And when there's unforgiveness, there is, if you imagine that being an umbilical cord, the hatred goes up and down that umbilical cord. And like for argument's sake, if one is raped, there could be a feeling that triggers those core woundings that I was speaking about, that unwanted, unloved, and unseen. And if I don't go, if I may use the example of Jesus when he was on the cross and he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And if we can go into that space in ourselves and offer grace to that person, that maybe, I mean, most of you are like, "Are you kidding me? If somebody rapes another person, they must know what it's doing."
Yeah.
But I don't think, if we had to offer that person grace, and that if they really, really knew the impact of what their abuse was doing, and the effect in perpetuity that it would have, would they still do it? We've got to offer that little gap, that little base, that little small breath of grace, because when we do that, we set ourselves free. And the next step would then be to, well, how can I possibly forgive them? Okay, I give them the grace. I understand that maybe they wouldn't have done what they did if they had known the impact that it had on me. How do I still forgive them? And in those cases, I've asked God to forgive them.
Yeah.
Because I found it so hard. I was like, Lord, I can't. I find it too hard to forgive them. Can you forgive them?
Sure.
And in that way, that helped me to let go.
072 702 1702.
Good morning to us and your guests today. In my own experience, I also find out that time plays a very important role in forgiveness as well.
Yeah.
When something is still fresh, you discovered something you don't like about your partner, but you decide to forgive them and stay in the relationship, it's going to hurt for some time. Although I don't need to forgive it 1,000 times before I'm okay, but I realized after some time, and if you really, really have forgiven them and understood why they did what they did, then time makes it a bit easy, to a point that you can hardly even remember it. Or even if you force yourself to remember it, it doesn't hurt as bad as well. And I guess also it depends if you discover the thing that they did by yourself or if they come to you. I've also realized that if they come forward with what they did before you discover it yourself, it also makes the forgiving process a bit easier, if you will.
Hello 702, hello everybody. My perspective on this topic, quite an interesting topic. I was married for about 20 years and I divorced with my husband. The problem that I have now is because I was struggling financially. Whenever I have to pay my son's school fees, my university school fees for my son, it really brings back that hurt and the pain to say, okay, look, he's moved on to somebody else and looking after somebody else's kids and he's deserted his own. So that hurt still comes back and kicks in, and which is, I think, will go away once my son is over, because he's finishing his university this year. Maybe I think I will heal. I've forgiven him, but whenever schools open and I have to pay school fees, then that trigger comes back and I become very angry yet again. So it's really difficult. It's tough.
21 minutes to 12. Lee, your response to those two voice notes?
So the first caller, thanks to you both for calling in. The first caller made me think of forgive but don't forget.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important that we do forget, because if we keep letting it run in our minds, we're still attached to it. So I've started praying, like, help me to forgive the person, but please, God, let me forget it as well, because I don't need it to run around in my head. The second caller, so I've been divorced twice, so I've been in this space where, and both my ex-husbands got married, and I haven't experienced it so much in my second as such a painful thing, but they both got married and they both moved on. and they both gone on to love other people. And I think that what was really hard for me, and not so much anymore because I know where it comes from, that of course when someone moves on, there are other priorities that they have other than me and my children. And my ex-husband's money situation's got nothing to do with me. It's not a if I have to allow it to determine my value, that's when I get angry.
Yes.
So if my ex-husband's not able to pay something for my child and I internalize, I take that personal, I'm allowing him that control over me.
Yes.
Whereas if I'm like, actually, all money is God's money. It's not my money.
Yeah.
You know, I'm being given the power to be able to pay the things that I need to for my daughter. I set myself free from that energetic tie that I talk about. Because it's that chewing the old fat is like being stuck in that loop.
Yeah.
And only I can set the boundary with myself by setting myself free from that.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a massive problem in the world where, and I don't want to sound sexist, but unfortunately it is the situation that a lot of fathers don't take responsibility for their children after divorce. And a lot of women do sit with the responsibility. So
Yes.
I'm not minimizing that. But I'm just saying, how do we, are we going to allow ourselves to stay as victims in it, or are we going to set ourselves free and see that's got nothing to do with our value as to whether a man is paying for our children or not?
Voice notes, Abel, 072-702-1702.
Morning, Tabo and the guest. Tabo, in terms of forgiveness, remember that no one is perfect. In terms of marriages and couples, we need to forgive one another because two people combined, they are imperfect. Everyone has a mistake, but learning to forgive each other, that's where most relationships do last. Like marriages for 20 years, there's always been forgiveness in those marriages. Without forgiveness, no marriage will last, my brother.
Hi, Tabo, and your guest. Wonderful show. Mapari from Rodiport. How do you forgive someone who's doing something, the same thing? How do you forgive that person doing the same thing?
Over and over and over again. Do you still forgive them?
So I think that that's a question of access, right? Like we can have, when somebody keeps repeating a pattern, and we still give them access to us, then the forgiveness lies at our own feet, right? Are we allowing ourselves to be in an abusive situation? And the forgiveness is not so much about what they're doing against us, but us allowing it to continue by giving them access to us.
Yeah.
Is that making
It does. So when do you refuse them access?
Yeah, so if somebody's repeating a pattern and they're clearly not willing to change, then it's your responsibility to step out of that relationship, because otherwise you're allowing them, like let's say for argument's sake, someone's in a physically abusive relationship.
Yes.
They can forgive the guy or the woman, because we know that happens both sides, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But that's not the biggest forgiveness that needs to happen is the person themselves, because they stayed in the situation and allowed it to happen.
So you forgive the person and move on and shut the door.
And shut the door and move away, because ultimately the wound is actually within yourself, because you're allowing it to happen.
Yeah. I wanted to find out about unforgivables, because I'm thinking at times people may think in a relationship that I'm being petty by not forgiving this. Of course, there are extreme situations that you've just mentioned, and I don't want to trigger anyone. And there could be others, like infidelity as well, not that that is of any smaller quality or quantity. But at which point do you say, I will do anything for love, but I won't do that, to quote one famous singer?
Yeah, I think it's good to know your limits.
Yeah.
It's good to know your limits, and it's good to know where your boundaries lie.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful movie on Netflix called The Forge.
Yeah.
And it's about men that mentor boys, young men. And there's a situation where you would think that it's unforgivable, and a bit like the truth and reconciliation process. You get to see how where there is forgiveness, there can be incredible healing, and it can actually affect a community.
Sure.
So we're human, right? And pretty, I nearly swore, pretty ugly things can happen to us, right? That was so good. Well done, Lee. You pulled it back.
I would have loved to hear that. We're at BCCSA. That would have been fantastic.
So some pretty yucky things can happen to us. All of us, like unforgivable things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that a true test of character and the true test of grace, and love to ourselves and to our fellow people is acknowledging the truth of who we are, and offering the grace of forgiveness sets us free.
011-883-0702, 011-883-0702. Derek, I'm coming to you, and I'll take your call just after this, 13 to 12.
Your workday calls for more capability, more grit, more getting it done. Your weekends demand more freedom, more pushing the boundaries. And the all-new GWMP 300 Bucky is where it all comes together. Ring it on in the all-new GWMP 300 from $6,999 per month. Visit gwm.coza for T's and C's and to book a test drive. Go with more. Go with GWM.
Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be?
The man who has inside jokes with complete strangers.
The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated.
Vitamin High Performance Supplements for Men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and vitalamin.co.za.
Vitalamin. Don't get older. Get better.
Medical aid plans, they're normally like this.
So, you'll need to take this form and this. So don't forget this too. Okay, wait. Don't forget this one. Wait. Okay, done.
My back!
Oh, sorry, sir. That's gonna have to come out of your savings.
At Bonitas, we make our plans simple, so they're easy to understand. We also offer a benefit booster and a range of other benefits that don't come off your savings. Visit bonitas.co.za when you need us. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. T's and C's apply.
This isn't just a walk, it's a journey through memory, through meaning. The 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns on Sunday, 27 July. Walk from the hallowed grounds of Freedom Park to the southern lawns of the Union buildings and some of our capital city's most iconic landmarks. Choose from 8 kilometer, 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or 4 kilometer for something lighter. Entry is 360 Rand for adults and 200 Rand for kids under 12. There's no parking at the start or end, so book your park and ride from Joburg or Pretoria when you enter. Sign up on primemediaplus.com before 26 July. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. Walk with meaning. Walk with us.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk
On 702.
Straight to your calls. Derek, you've been holding for some time. Thanks for your patience. The floor is yours now. Derek in Centurion. Hi.
No problem. Thank you, Trevor. Man, just want to find out from good afternoon to you and your guest. If I've been naive or being kind of stupid, because I recently found out that my person, she's been cheating on me. We did sit and talk about it, so I'm kind of forgiven it. But the thing is, every time I'm with her, I see this thing just keeps on coming back, and it actually affects my performance, in terms of intimacy. So I don't know. The thing is, I do love her. I love my kids, and I'm trying to forgive her, but at times I feel like I've been stupid. I could have just called it quits. I don't know how you guys can assist in that regard, So it's something that has been very difficult for me for quite some time. We're staying together for time, but every time she comes back from work, I come back from work, it's like cold in the blankets. But I really don't seem to be enjoying or feeling anything. Because every time I'm trying to do anything, that memory just keeps on coming back. And it is over a year already now, so I'm really not too sure what to do with this. Now, that's my question.
Derek, please don't hang up as yet. Lee, do you want any follow-up questions to Derek?
Hi, Derek. Thank you for calling in, and I'm so sorry the pain that you're going through. It's not an easy thing to experience. I really admire you for remaining in your marriage, and the picture that I get is when we replay visuals or memories in our mind like a movie, it's important to walk out the movie room. So walk out of the film studio with the movie room. Is that the right word? The movie theater.
It is, yeah.
Sure.
To put a boundary down on your mind to stop playing those images over, because we torture ourselves with them, right? There's a very real process that I take clients through where both the husband and the wife need to put down boundaries with themselves and with each other in order to heal. But not only that, there's a very real process in the person that cheated, that they show real remorse. And they don't only show real remorse, but their actions show real remorse. So if that hasn't happened or isn't happening, you will feel like you're being traumatized over and over again, because you're the betrayal that you've experienced from your wife, you're actually betraying yourself by staying in that situation. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that's what can happen, Eric. So please, if you guys are needing some support, please feel free to contact me. I would love to work with you.
Great stuff. Let's go to Isabel in Johannesburg. Isabel, welcome. Morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning. So I just wanted to delve into the topic of unforgivables in a relationship. And I think it's a bit tricky because, I think Lee also mentioned that it's also your responsibility to walk away from a relationship if it's either abusive or it's just getting a bit too extreme. So in my situation, I'm with a partner who told me to get an abortion. And because I'm still in love with them, I feel it's a bit tricky to walk away, because how do you then forgive that and stay? Still continue being in love with the person. So I think my question is more on how do you forgive and walk away?
Okay, Isabel, hang tight. Lee, over to you. Don't go away, Isabel. In case Lee wants to ask you one or two questions, please hang around.
Thank you so much for phoning in, and I'm sorry that this is a situation that you're having to face. Did you say, how do I forgive and walk away, or how do I forgive and stay?
I think it's kind of both. So how do I forgive and stay because I still love him, or is it more, do I forgive and walk away?
This, I guess, abortion is also very much a values thing, right? So how do we value life, and that's a so when somebody says have an abortion, I wonder if we can depersonalize it and say that maybe this person is saying, I don't have what it takes to be a father right now. It doesn't mean I don't love you and I don't want to have your child, and your child doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
He's just being honest with where he is at that time. And we're taken into ourselves where we're like, well, I'm not wanted, I'm not loved, and I'm not seen. So I don't want to get into the discussion of whether it's right or wrong to have an abortion, because I think that's up to you and your partner to discuss that. I don't want to get involved in that. I don't want to
have a judgment call on that.
Thank you very much. So I think that I think that the discussion needs to go deeper between you and your partner as to why he doesn't want to have an abortion, at least why he does want to have an abortion. And if you guys get to the crux of what it is that's going on for him, and have hold space to understand where he's coming from, I think you will then be able to decide whether you want to stay or go. I think the ambivalence for you right now is because maybe you don't know. Yeah. If you're dealing with a man that is and some are like that, even women are like that use abortion as birth control, then of course one is just going to be like, okay, clearly this person doesn't want commitment. They don't care about me, and I can move on. And actually, I don't even want to hold unforgiveness towards them because I get tied to somebody who doesn't value me or the relationship.
Yeah.
Does that help, Isabel?
Yes, definitely. I think as a female, let me not put gender to it, but I think personally it's easy to think that, oh, this person doesn't love me, they don't value me.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for the advice, because if you have a discussion and get into the reason of why they're suggesting an abortion, I think the decision to forgive and stay or forgive and walk away will be a bit more clearer, definitely.
Absolutely, because I've been in a situation where the husband wanted to keep the baby and the wife wanted to have the abortion.
Yeah.
And the man equally felt rejected. It's like his baby, and she didn't want to have the baby. So it's not just like, thank you for saying it's not just an agenda thing.
Lee, very quickly, your contact details for those who'd like to reach you.
WhatsApp is 079 525 8991, and then you can get hold of me on all socials, LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook on Lee Joy Inspires.
Lee Joy, dating coach, 3 minutes to 12.
3, 2, 1, rocket ignition.
Launch your DIY dreams with Chamberlain. From 22 May to 1 June, Chamberlain's famous carnival promotion is back with incredible deals on all your building, painting and lifestyle needs. Like 20% off paint mixing and savings across tools, garden, homeware and more. Plus you get to meet the Deluxe dogs while enjoying free popcorn and candy floss. And stand a chance to win your share of 90,000 Rand in vouchers. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
As a business owner, I've noticed how being energy efficient has improved my savings and the growth of my business. You too can improve your margins by adopting energy efficient behaviors. Simply switch to energy saving lighting, switch off non-essential equipment, and maintain HVAC systems. These are some of the ways you can use electricity wisely to see your business soar, as well as contribute to a greener planet. Just like every Rand counts, every kilowatt counts. Let's use electricity wisely. Eskom.
Whether you need some high nose for your hauls or looking to make your bucks in UD trucks, Bidvest McCarthy has your fleet covered. We can even enable you with some FAW or set you up with LDV to get you where you want to be. There is no fleet too big or too small. Our people will help you with it all. Whatever requirements you have to complete your fleet, Bidvest McCarthy is ready to deliver. Bidvest McCarthy, our people deliver. Always.
Every thriving business starts the same way, with someone who dares to dream.
If that's you, 702 and Standard Bank's MyMoBiz business account want to back your next bold move.
Every week we'll spotlight 4 of Gauteng's boldest entrepreneurs and give them a chance to win 25,000 Rand to boost their business.
And if you already bank smart with a Standard Bank business account, that becomes 50,000 Rand. To enter, hit primemediaplus.com
and tell us your growth aspiration, and our cash injection could unlock your next level of success.
This week, tune in to 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. to hear if your business is in the running. It's time to rise and thrive with Standard Bank's MyMoBiz business account.
TCs and more at primemediaplus.com.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
She's right here. Mandy, what's coming up? Good morning to you.
Good morning, almost afternoon.
Yeah.
The Minister of Police is releasing crime stats for the fourth quarter. The whole world's heard about crime in South Africa in the Oval Office, so we'll look at the facts around that. Government has just issued a gazette to ease the rules for ICT licenses and BEE requirements for licensing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say Starlink. But I think it's fairly obvious about what is happening, so we'll just unpack that. Almost 300 miners are trapped underground in Western area. We'll get an update on the Senzo Miwa trial. And it's Friday, Thabo.
Sports and good things too.
Well
Fast Lena. All that and more between 12 and 1. It's been great being with you. Exactly 12 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Rescue efforts are underway to retrieve the 300 miners trapped underground at Sibanye Stillwater's Kloof mine in Western area in Johannesburg. The National Union of Mine Workers says the company anticipates to have the miners back on the surface at this hour. The miners have been stuck in the shaft since yesterday after an alleged engineering failure. The failure led to an object collapsing on the shaft, leaving them stuck underground. Spokesperson Libwani Mamburu says they are concerned about the miners' safety.
The company keep on promising that the workers are going to resurface any time from now, but they keep on postponing. The latest information that the company has informed our members the operation is that the workers will resurface at midday, and they keep on postponing. And we don't know come midday this afternoon if they are going to postpone again. So we are worried about that.
We take you to the latest from the courts now. Charges against former Cape Town MMC for Human Settlements, Malusi Boy, and 10 others have been withdrawn. They were part of more than 30 accused linked to the R1 billion tender fraud in the city's Human Settlements Directorate during Boy's tenure. Boy, who has always maintained his innocence, has told reporters today that he is relieved to be free of this case. We shift our focus to this now. Between January and March this year, there were 2 recorded farm murders in the country, and both the victims were black. This has been revealed by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who presented the fourth quarter crime statistics in Pretoria this morning. The minister released the figures while also denouncing the narrative shared by US President Donald Trump about an alleged white genocide in South